All right. Why don't you take it?
Got about another minute and then we'll get fired up.
Insert
Just in case
Jeopardy
people
music
come running
here.
through the door, you know?
Yeah.
Just gotta make sure.
Right.
Feel pretty good. We had some pretty good participation over the last month or so. It seems like each
Wait.
night we've had
When?
some
Did I
people
miss
come in. Yeah.
Some of them we,
Site walks,
yeah.
yeah, road stuff. Steve. Yeah, where's Steve tonight?
Yeah.
He finds FAC boring.
Alright, so at 5 o'clock, we'd like to open up the meeting. Would everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. Tonight we have our Finance Advisory Committee with their quarterly update and then a couple roundtable discussion topics.
Add
and,
4 more to that.
Yep, that's why I said a couple.
Couple 4. Couple 6.
And then we have the continuation of our public hearing at 7 on the possible Old Beaver Road acceptance. With that, FAC gentlemen, thank you for coming in.
I will turn the floor over to Joe. Joe has been handling this right from the get-go on our quarterly reviews.
Okay.
So I think we're doing great. A couple of surprises, but unexpected expenses. But overall, I think we're in pretty good shape. We're tracking a number of areas that, if we're going to match the expenditures with what we plan for, we're going to transfer some money in eventually. Got to figure that out. We've got a couple of accounts that were originally $0 accounts that we put expenses against. So I know the goal is that we don't use those $0 accounts, so we may have to fix something like that, but they're all small dollar stuff. Really the biggest expense we've seen is a result of the litigation that's going on now. So I'll walk through those. There's 16 high impact. Basically those are where we're going to have to take some steps at some point. It's going to be an accounting effort where we take money from. Doesn't look like we'll have a problem getting money. Some of the things were overspent. Are areas of like labor in the DPW where we're doing more in overtime than we are paying out labor. So there'll be money available to pay for that. So
Can I
we
jump
think
in
we're in
just
good
for
shape.
1 sec? Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt. The lines that were 0 and we had stuff against it, they were just charged to the wrong line, so it'll be a journal
That's what we
adjustment.
assumed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent.
Joe, could I interject? Can you expand that chart?
Yeah.
These old guys have a hard time.
And actually, if we want to hit that light, it will help
Yeah.
too.
That'd be
The one with the
great.
green tag on it.
Yeah, that's much better.
All right, let me see if I can go in this presentation mode here. Maybe that'll make it better. There it is.
you go.
Of course, I don't know how to use this, so I don't know how to get rid of that. I want to say got it, but that's not what I want to do. And what do I do? Oh, okay, that works. All right.
Just hit page down, you'll go to the next or back it up.
Yep. So mine has 2 windows on it actually.
That's yours?
So okay, so I'm gonna keep rolling. Medium net impact, just something that we're gonna need to watch closely. We'll take care of that. We'll notify if there's any issues. Couple accounts we don't know about, working those, and then we definitely know of a journal entry that has to be done. So, but I'll walk through the details. All right, y'all can see this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so consulting services, we knew that was for training the accountant. We knew that was going to be high. I don't know if you want me to walk through these or just let you glance through them.
Well, it's good if you walk through it, yeah. I
Yeah.
think so.
Okay. There's a number of notices that we put out that were unplanned. We had budgeted money for them, but we've exceeded that. Again, probably because of that litigation effort going on. Printing, we went way over printing. That's the town clerk space as well. We've seen that just more expensive. That may have been due to inflation, something that we missed. So we'll just keep tracking that.
But the way over is $132.
I know, it's small money. Well, no, it's actually, printing was, we budgeted $1,200, we're $2,300. Still only $1,000, but,
Oh, that one. Oh, okay.
but the $1,200 is a budget for the calendar year, and we're only halfway through it at this point. So we've already exceeded the budget,
Wow.
more to go.
I'm wondering if that's
Now, that's
on the wrong
elections.
line too.
Yeah.
That was elections?
That's, yeah,
Oh, yeah, for the ballots. And we have four elections this year, or 3. We have we had the one in March, then we have the primary, and then we have the,
we don't have the primary
No,
this
we
year.
don't. That's
I
interesting.
thought there were 3 elections this year.
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, we'll have to see what the change was in
Yeah.
that, but,
Yeah,
alright,
So for elections, we made the conscious decision not to budget for the primary, but there's a lot of concerns right now where the Democrat wants the primary in, the first primary in North Carolina, was it, or South Carolina? But because of the New Hampshire state says that we do the first primary, there's a concern that they may want to pull it into this calendar year, which wouldn't be budgeted for at that point. But they'll just keep tracking that.
could have sworn it was 3 this year.
Let's see. Records management, $0 account. Tax bills were higher. Don't know why, but it's quite a bit higher. That's probably because we probably leveraged the prior year's budget and it probably went up because of inflation. So we could have missed
But we
that.
still have another tax bill to send out too.
Yep.
So I'll have to look into that with Lisa.
Auditor, just more money than we planned for. I think that's done for the year though, right?
Yes.
Yep, good.
Yeah.
Legal, spoke about that. Building improvement, it's another $0 account, we'll fix that. Building electric, we probably should spend some time on that and just make sure that we understand where all the bills are going for the different departments.
She's working on that.
Yeah, Peter had to just reconcile it across the whole town.
Well, can I interject something on that? DPW is having some problems with that, and I started looking at it very closely, and I also looked at the invoices from last year's billings that Eversource gave to us. But one of the things that jumped out to me was, even though department heads have the control of flipping the lights on and off, they don't really have control over what they assign for kilowatt usage and stuff like that. So in many cases, it's a matter of them just taking a guess at what they think their electric bill is. So I started thinking about that. And this is just something to think about, because the town gets the actual invoices and they see those every month when they come in. They can monitor that a lot better in terms of kilowatt hours and stuff like that. That it might be advantageous, or at least something to think about, that maybe that should be controlled at the town level rather than the department level.
So we get about 857 electric bills every month, and no, that's an exaggeration, obviously. It's probably about 30 though. And the pool was charged to building 2, so another journal entry, so that'll be
Yeah.
taken out of that. So some of them have been charged to the wrong line items. And also we have our lower electric bill supplier for this year too, that started in May. So all the electric bills should be way below what we budgeted for.
Have we looked at that?
They're in the process of trying to do, yeah, I mean, I've checked it to make sure we are getting the lower rate. And then we are also getting a monthly rebate basically for, cause we signed up for that hydropower. It's like $100 and something bucks or something every month that we just started getting this month.
So this is a different supplier than Eversource?
Correct.
Good,
Yeah, we did that started in May.
yeah. I know the transfer station got a whopping credit, which increased their budget. accounting glitch.
Yeah,
I don't
all,
know.
all the electric bills are kind of messed up with where they got charged to because we've had 4 different people doing payables.
Okay,
so
then that explains
It's,
something.
yeah, anything to do with electric, it just needs to be gone through, and we're trying to find time to get in there and between 3 of us to try to just go through all the bills where they were charged to and then where they should have been charged to, and we'll make all those journal entries to put
Yeah,
them to
I don't-
take them out of whatever the wrong one was and put it in the right one. But that one I know was, I think that ended up being the pool.
Yeah, I don't know what the kilowatt change would have or the impact it would have on the budget that we have going into the end run or the end of the year. But hopefully it'll be a lot less, but as it stands right now, I'm concerned that we may be over budget in several electric bill accounts.
Over budgeted, definitely.
Yeah.
So we budgeted for what we were paying
Right,
with the current supply, well, with the previous, with Eversource as the supplier.
right.
So we budgeted for that because we didn't know we were gonna switch over, and we didn't switch till May of this year. So the first 5 months were
You
with
got the 22
Eversource.
22
22
cents a
cents, so
kilowatt.
then-
Yeah,
Since May, we've gone down to 12 cents or 11 point something. So all the bills are going down, noticeable difference. So, but they just need to be charged to the right line item. That's where all that is.
And in the budget, was it budgeted at 22 per kilowatt hour for all 12 months?
Correct. Well, we didn't know we were gonna do this, so we had no way in, October, November, December, we didn't know we were gonna.
Right.
Is that the type of over budgeting that you're talking about, or that we're going to be over budget in numerous?
likely could be over budget.
Nope.
Like overspent?
Over
No.
Yeah, overspent. Well, and that's where she comes down to where
Yeah.
they've been charged to the wrong accounts. Because
Yeah.
I think you had tried to consolidate to make it easier, and then now
And
it's
it made
having
it
to be
worse.
broken back out just
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's better to have it on different bills.
Yeah.
Maybe the only way to really get down into the nitty gritty with it is to give us a thumbs up whenever we think that we've got the realignment correct,
Right.
and then relook it.
Yeah. We're not gonna be. We're not gonna go over any electric budget.
Okay? All right,
Good to know.
Yeah.
then I feel
I'm
better.
confident in that.
So I can actually pull together a summary of all of the budgeted electrical expenses and where we are against all of them. So it doesn't matter where they're charged from, so I can do that pretty easily in the
Yeah.
data.
Just get
So I'll do that when we,
the total of what we
Tomorrow.
budgeted and where we're at.
exactly, yeah, so at least we'll know
Yeah.
if we are real high, but.
Okay,
Yeah. There shouldn't be any.
Don't start with the shouldn'ts. You just said.
I'm not worried about the electric going over budget.
Excellent.
that's why we have these meetings, so we can
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
collaborate.
We're overspent, BPO, building and planning, BPO,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so, and that's Luke, right?
Yeah.
BPO,
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know
building
why.
Oh,
permits.
building permit,
Yeah, what
Absolutely.
line are you talking about?
the last one up here, 610. So Luke had mentioned that the department head,
That's not Luke's,
that's not Luke's,
no, that's mine. What was the issue?
just a note said the department head only reported at $28
Oh,
expenses.
yeah, that's mine. I forget what the amount was that was charged to, but whenever I spoke with the department, specifically Susan, she said, I only spent $25 out of the supply account. I don't know how we got those numbers.
Again, 4 people trying to do payables. Things were like I literally need to take like 2 full days of not doing anything but looking at this and trying to find out what got charged to the wrong
Yeah.
account.
Yeah, it was $821 spent, but she
Right.
said only $25
Yeah.
was actually purchased.
Right, so I don't know. And then even on the Board of Selectmen, we have a couple of things that I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, again, it's
So-
$1 threshold, I mean, it's not going to impact the town that much.
But all the little things add up to
It
big
does,
things, so.
it does, you're
I mean,
absolutely
it
right.
and it has to be correct. Like, we
Yeah.
don't wanna go into the next budget season saying, oh, well, we spent $800 for supplies, we need to bump this up, you know, we need
Which
to.
is exactly what would happen if
Right,
this doesn't get
right.
corrected.
Right.
So
That's
we
gotta
need
be
to-
a priority.
It is,
On
Yep.
top of one of your other priorities.
yeah, just one. Yeah, so that's,
Two.
so I was thinking, when I get back from vacation, I was gonna take the following week off, but I'm not gonna do my second half of my trip that I planned. So I was thinking of pretending I'm not here, shutting my door, either that or doing it from home and just I can't do it from home because I gotta look at bills and stuff, but, and just taking 2 days that week, just pretend I'm not here. And
Do not disturb on your
Correct.
door.
yes, even if you know the code, don't open it,
Why are you looking at me?
cause you've never done that. When I had my door shut. Anyways, go ahead.
Okay, so the last few here, we've got the part-time expenses, which we talked about, drug and alcohol testing, you know, trying to hire more people. There's a pool expense that we need to look at a little bit further, again, small money. And then patriotic purposes, we overspent there. Luke is working that to try to find out why. He's gathering up receipts and trying to figure out why we're overspent there, but we shouldn't be overspent
I
there.
can
so-
tell you why. It was labor. Because someone put in for hours that they couldn't charge to anything else. And they put in for hours for getting ready for the parade, like working on the cemeteries, but I feel like it should have gone under cemeteries, not under, just because it was getting ready for
Was
Memorial
that
Day
additional
parade.
cleanup? Like the
Mhm.
leaf cleanup and stuff?
Yeah,
Let me,
Yeah.
let me add something about the pool. Because their personnel costs started in the summertime, they didn't have much of a record when we were looking at the quarterly review, but Shauna had contacted me and expressed concern when she found out that Greenville had raised their hourly rates so much that she didn't think she was gonna be able to hire people, and that she would need to raise her rates in order to be able to staff the pool. So we got together and did some reconfigurations. What she learned was that she could actually staff the pool full operating hours without having as many shifts per day. She was, on some of the shifts, she was having 3 people. She felt she could actually manage it with 2 people. And so we did a combination of things to offset the hourly rates that she increased it to. One was reduce the total number of hours that she's paying for. Number 2, we did an estimate based on what had already happened in terms of pool closure because of the weather, and subtracted those operating hours from the cost. And then there was a equipment line where she felt that she had really significantly over budgeted when she thought about it, and felt she could significantly reduce that. So when we talked about all those dollars, and we did it on a spreadsheet, it came out to basically being budget neutral, assuming that she can stick with that. And we did not calculate in any more hours of pool closure, although we expect that there will be because of the weather. So I think she'll be fine, even though she had to raise the hourly rates in order to be able to staff the pool.
Will we be able to have a concise report, like when we go into budget for next year?
Yes.
Of the changes,
Yeah.
and then, you know, the reduction in hours, like,
Yeah, no, I have a spreadsheet that shows it now,
perfect.
but we
Alright.
will compare that to actual, and see how, but I think it's gonna be extremely close, and I don't think there's gonna be, I think it's gonna be budget neutral. There's a possibility she'll actually come in under budget.
Okay.
If we could go back to the other page, Joe, the fire, what was adjust?
Mileage?
Yeah. Chief's.
Yeah.
I don't know how they used to pay it, but the mileage things that were getting approved this year, like one person had $1,500 in mileage.
Yeah, I spoke to the chief about it, and he said that most of the mileage costs are due to people who are going out of town for training
Mm-hmm.
and compiling it. and it turned out to be more than what they expected.
Wow.
So that they're going to, in the future, he did not explain how, but he said that they're gonna do training differently so that people don't have to go out of town for training.
Or carpool. I mean, they had 3 people going to the same training
Yeah,
and paying each of them $500.
yeah.
500 for mileage?
Yeah.
Where are they driving to?
Like 8 trips back and forth, you know, over the course of a month or 2 months or whatever it was when they turned in their reimbursement thing. And I'm like, what is going on? So I called Meredith and she's like, no, that's right. I'm like, okay, you're approving it.
And I hit him with these questions right after he stepped into it, I think the same week that he stepped in as chief. So he was a little vague in his response, but I
Yeah.
also CC'd Matt on my questions. And so I have to get together with him I've emailed him on the CIP, start talking to him about that. So when I do meet with him in person, I will talk more specifically about that.
All right, thank you. Good?
Thanks.
Okay, these are just items that we need to pay close attention to. This is where we're within budget, but we could easily be overspent. More supplies, assessor salaries, FICA is related to salaries, Medicare's as well. We've got the police rentals, that was in there last quarter as well, and Mike still doesn't know where that comes from, so we should look at that and make sure that's charged to the right account.
When, so your actuals, when was that done?
So these actuals are the end of June.
Oh, right.
You had given me update from the first week of July, and any issue of those that was corrected in July, I just took out of this, so we're not gonna worry about that.
Okay.
We'll catch that
Okay.
later. And there's comments in the spreadsheet that says that we made some corrections to it.
Yeah. And then assessing,
The accountant got back to me and said that there was a clerical error that she had to go in and fix.
yeah. Like for somehow Jim Coffey got paid his stipend out of the TA salary and my salary came out of assessing,
Yeah.
which I don't know how that could have possibly happened, but yeah, it's so I don't know what was going on, but we've narrowed it down to me and Mindy are the only 2 that have access to payroll now, no one else. So hopefully, and I don't know if anyone was going in and changing things that, you know, didn't realize they were changing it to the wrong thing, or
Who could have done that?
I don't know.
So let me ask a question, and this is something that's probably a process question, but once a bill comes in, they identify it's actually a bill. Is there a verification process to ensure that it is posted to the correct account?
So any bill that comes in goes directly to the department head. The department head puts their code on it and initials it, and then it gets paid.
So let me ask you a question about that. Then, when the quarterly report comes out, for instance, when we get the spreadsheets from you, the presumption should be that the department head already knows whether they're over budget or not, because they've actually signed off on the invoice.
If they've tracked it themselves.
Correct. And there's something like supplies that we've always had issues with that. You know, you order from Staples and then, you know, so I created this form. If you want something from Staples or where that we're ordering internally, then you have to fill out, you have to put the account number it's getting charged to, and, you know, all this other information, give it to Sue and say, this is what I need, and then that piece of paper gets turned in with the Staples bill. So no more of this, oh, I think this was assessing, I think this was planning, you know what I mean? Or trying to scramble
Yeah.
at the last minute when you're trying to pay the bill.
Then the next question is, are the department heads rubber stamping their invoices?
Don't know.
For instance, in one department that I have, if you take a look, they spent on a particular line item, it's a big ticket line item, much more than 50% through the first half of the year. And the department head was not aware of that until I brought it to their attention, and yet, if I understand correctly, they sign off on the invoice.
What was it? It depends on what it is.
Well, I don't wanna mention on camera, I don't wanna throw a department under the bus in a public, I'll talk to you offline
Okay.
about it.
I'm just curious of what, cause some, like I said, not everything is coded by the department, like even like Staples or, like the police have their own account, so they have their own stuff.
Yeah, this was,
That-
this wasn't a small, it wasn't small like supply.
And they had no idea what it was.
Well, by the time I got a response about 4 weeks later, I'll have to look into it, was the response I got.
Okay.
So they apparently weren't aware of it.
Okay.
All right, the last one on this slide was the overtime for the DPW. Okay, so vehicle maintenance, we are under budget. It looks like the majority of expenses are already paid for the year, so Peter felt that was okay. Another electric one, just approaching the budget, propane as well. Street lighting, electricity. This is the credit that Dennis was speaking to. It's that account for the transfer station has a credit of $1,200 right now. And you mentioned that's a reimbursement from Eversource.
No.
Yes. Oh, for transfer station?
No, that's not a reimbursement. I'm not sure what, we overpaid a bill. We paid a bill twice. I don't know how it got to transfer station, but I don't know how, I thought it would be helpful to have all the bills on one bill instead of having to open, 37 envelopes and, having all that paper and whatever. Unbeknownst to me, when they combine all the accounts on one bill, they put the supplier on one page and for each department, and then, so that's 15 pages of that, and then you gotta go add the tax and so you're doing more, like, they didn't say that. I'm like, can't you just have everything on one bill in one spot? Transfer station, it's this amount for distribution, this amount for supply, this amount for taxes and fees, whatever, this is the total for the transfer station. No, we can't do that. It had to be all separated, and so we ended up breaking them all back apart
Oh.
for their own bill. So I'm assuming in that process, that's what happened to some of these things. So the transfer station does not have a $1,200 credit. It just happens to be on the transfer station for some reason. I don't know why. So that's not
Okay.
Well,
correct.
okay, the
Again,
only thing,
we're
the
going
only thing
through
that
all
I'm
of them.
thinking is that, although I don't think it's rampant or out of control or anything, but I think that there have been enough anomalies that we've seen posted in questionable accounts
Mm-hmm.
that maybe we need to look at that process again, to at least try to get it in there right the first time, so we're not chasing our tail on some of these accounts.
The problem is because we had 4 different people over the course of 8 months doing payables.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
And you're trying to train people, and then someone else training, and it's just, yeah. I mean, I'll take full responsibility. I guess it falls on me. I don't know what else to say other than where you have to sit there and go through every single bill that's been paid in 2023
Yeah.
and find out where it should have been paid out of. A lot of them are right, a lot of them are wrong.
But even if they went into the wrong account, wouldn't the end result still be the same reflected at the bottom line?
At the bottom line,
Should.
yes.
So I'll pull a summary together of all the electric expenses, all the electric budget, and then compare that. We'll know right away whether we issue or not, but it sounds like we'll be in good shape.
But we
And
but
to
we
your-
need to know, like, for next year's budget for each department.
Right, yeah.
Yep.
I understand.
Like, we don't wanna have incorrect numbers, you know what I mean? We need to know how much did building inspector spend on supplies, and you know what I mean? To have the correct amount in there for next year. We don't want it to be, oh, well, it just got charged to the wrong account, so, you know what I mean? It has to be correct.
Yeah, and to your point, Lou, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I took a quick look at the totals after the second quarter, and when you aggregate everything, we're not totally out of the ballpark. It's manageable. We've got some accounts that are way under executed,
Right.
Yep.
and when you balance that out in the aggregate, you start evening out. But the question is, and it's the reason why I brought the point up, if we're gonna do a good job in the budget review, we really have to have the counting tacked down.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's not tacked down, we're just chasing our tail, trying to find the goose that's got its head chopped off.
The auditor's gonna have a field day. I might take a vacation next May when the auditors come.
So welfare, there's an account description called shelter. Did you hear back from them by chance?
No, that's the one I was referring to earlier.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, excellent.
yeah, I have not heard back yet.
These are just a couple that we've already spoke about. Just need to look into them further, make the transfer. Electricity, I guess ignore that for now. And then that police rental, we know that's wrong. And then this is just there's a journal entry that was required. It wasn't done the first week of July. I think everything else was done, but it's just moving money into the pool. That's it.
Cool.
Now, this is the second quarter. We have a third quarter coming up, and that's probably the most critical review quarter, because that's the point whenever you need to take a look at how the accounts are stacking up, how well or how poorly they're spent, and if you need to make decisions, make them before it's too late and you're at the end of the fourth quarter and you have no latitude. In other words, some things, if you have, I'll give you an example, if you have underspent accounts, and we had some of those in the past, if you sit there and don't say anything or don't elevate that, but you have money to spend, you don't want to lose that resource, then you might be able to identify, well, can you execute that in this last quarter? Yes or no? Well, if the answer is no, because of lead times and stuff like that, then you would have some ability to make some managerial decisions and move that money around to get things that you maybe pre-buy that you might need in the following year or whatever. So I just point that out at the end of the third quarter. That's when you really want to look at it and see if you need to interject.
Yeah, 'cause, one of the things I was looking to hope to avoid was that in the past, budgets would be spent out by the end of the year, and then increases asked for in the next year, and we'd be at like a 3, 5, or 8%, increase overall. So each year the budget was just slowly creeping up and up and up, like to try to get away from that model of full execution of budgets, because if you didn't actually need that thing, like, or whatever you budgeted for, and it wasn't realized and you're not going to need it for the following year, then I would rather have that money go back to the taxpayers, so that we can have a nice clean fresh budget for 2024 is the hopes, like, so that we don't have this artificial build all the time.
Yeah, historically what it's done, I have $500 left in my supply budget, better spend it before the end of the year, cause if you don't use it, you lose it, and that has been the mentality of everyone.
Is it going away?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know, cause this is the first year where I'm involved in it, really.
yeah, I understand the mentality to return the money back to the taxpayer, but at the same token, if you know you've got an expense that's coming up in that next year, then you wouldn't have to budget for it next year, which
And
in
you can-
effect
And you
reduces.
can get it at this year's prices, not inflationary
Right.
prices.
So I mean, it's a managerial process. you
Yeah.
have to go through.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that
You
happened
see what I'm
with the
saying?
pool one year. Where they bought supplies, cause they had money left in their
Yeah.
budget and they bought
Mhm.
supplies for the next year.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we have seen that.
What is the expectation of the department heads in terms of knowing their budgets, monitoring their budgets, and when the monthly reports or the quarterly, they look at a quarterly basis of being able to see that something is not lining up? Because in my experience in this most recent quarterly review, I was bringing the attention to them about anomalies in their quarterly report that they were unaware of, which leads me to believe that either they don't necessarily have the skills, perhaps, to look at their budgets, or they're not taking the time. Mindy was a big help in finding out about the clerical errors that existed, but I was the one that brought it to Mindy's attention as opposed to the department head saying, this isn't right. So that's a question I have.
So they should fully understand their budgets, cause how do you budget for the next year if you're not keeping track of your expenditures in the current year?
Right.
Or don't understand how that works.
And
So for
when,
me, there'd be a full expectation that they fully understand it and fully grasp it, and I know that, I've gotten some feedback that working with you all has been helpful to more than a few, people that are kind of, don't have like a daily, town interaction, you know, like it's just sort of here and there, and, it's been eye-opening and empowering to some degree, and they really appreciate, the extra work on the back end that you guys are doing with them to help them, you know, understand exactly what the budgeting is. But if there's a year after year repetition, we'd certainly like to know that, you know, cause then, you know, that's a different discussion
Right.
that would
and
need
when
to
I
be-
sent out everyone's budget to them in, I think it was April or May, and I sent it to I just sent the whole thing to all the department heads and said, if you see anything that's incorrect or that you don't know about, please let me know so we can fix it or figure out where it came from or why. Not one response from one person.
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised, because my first thought was on one budget where it was like 65 or 70% had already been spent on the line item, through the first 6 months. I would have thought that that would have alerted the department head immediately and said, what's going on, and looked into it or
Mhm.
something. But that's not the impression I got, so I don't know if they're saying, okay, I've got this much money, that if you divide it into quarters,
Just looking at
this
the
is where I
bottom
should
line.
be the
Well,
first 6 months, you know.
That
Then
that
print
that
outs.
is true if you have spending that is routine throughout the month.
But they should
there's
also know what the variance is due to.
there's some accounts though that you're gonna spend high
Yeah,
in certain quarters and very low in others, so.
right.
But
And
that
then-
should be an easy answer.
That
Right.
should be an
Department
easy
head.
answer.
Right.
Right,
It
so,
should
yeah.
not it should not require the response, I'll have to look into it, I don't know.
Mhm.
No.
Yeah, I see your point.
And to be fair, when you send out that report, that's not easy to work with. So I could see somebody scanning through that and say, I'm under budget, I'm good, and putting it down and going back to their normal
Are you
duties.
saying this?
That one right
Yeah.
there, yep.
Why is it not easy?
It doesn't highlight anything, doesn't flag anything, it doesn't actually explain that much.
You're just looking
So-
at numbers.
Yeah, yep.
Well, the only
I-
thing that it does do is it does give a percentage of spent or remaining, I think that's the way
Mhm.
it's
Right.
calculated. And if they're,
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
thing you could look
Right.
at as a department head, is that
Right.
last line.
And if
But
they're
then,
like,
but then to their point, they're not understanding, they're just, like, they look at that percentage and say, oh, I'm good. But then not really fully understanding,
Each line.
yeah, like, and what they put against it for purchases. Which, correct me if I'm wrong, is a hope that is gonna be a change with the new computer software where the department heads are gonna be able to see each
Yes.
entry and have their own, like they'll
Right.
have that knowledge real time, cause I think what they've done is really relied on the town keeping track of all of the particulars and then just looking at that percentage
Mhm.
part. So there's another tool for empowerment that's coming down
Yeah.
the line.
Yeah,
So-
I provide them a report that says, these are the ones I'm concerned about.
Right,
And then they look and say, oh, okay, and they get feedback for every one that I've highlighted.
but when they
So-
get their reports monthly, they should be doing that.
It's just not as easy.
It's much easier to
Yeah,
figure it out month to month than it is after 2 months or 4 months or 6 months.
Yeah.
Mhm.
hopefully the new reporting system will be a lot more intuitive.
Yeah.
When is that going into effect?
Hopefully December, possibly January.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, can't wait.
You know, I'll just throw this out there. I mean, if you feel like this is a systemic problem where maybe there's not as many people that understand the budget and the numbers that they're seeing, we could probably host a few, during work hours, hour-long classes to sit down with them, kind of go through what we did when we were putting this all together, talking about the kinds of expenses, the expenses as they occur more frequently in certain seasons and maybe not at all in others, and then planning for all that. So once they see that and they start seeing the numbers pile up each quarter, then it might make more sense to them.
But there's really no one that's new looking at these sheets. You know what I mean? Like, Peter's been here for years, Meredith was here for years. I mean, Gary's new now, but I don't know if he had looked at them before, but like, everyone who gets that has been looking at those same columns for years.
But then, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the fire department's the only department where they track it in their own type of file, so that
Right,
if they notice something looked off, they'd be able to go back
Right.
and say, hey, this is
This
all
isn't
I
right.
have.
Yeah.
Cause this is all of our,
police does
like,
the
we're keeping
same.
track, the police does too,
Mhm.
yeah. So,
Police and fire do track their own,
Yeah.
nobody else does though.
so then that could be useful.
Prior to the FAC, were department heads, since they're not new, were they historically required to look at their variances and report if something was a variance from budget to somebody, or?
They weren't required to do that, but it would be in their best interest, but I don't know, I mean, I wasn't involved in this level, I was land use and
Yeah.
town clerk, so I didn't know. But like, even when I was doing land use and town clerk, I would look at that and be like, oh, I have, I gotta watch this, I've ordered too many envelopes, or that's how I looked at it. But I don't know how any other department head looked at it, other than, where's my budget? I mean, Roger gave them their budget every single month, the beginning of the next month. So, but I don't know what they did with it.
Yeah. That may be, there is not a defined process.
No.
Which is not their fault, but there's not a defined process that could help them, And I think that gets back to something that Dennis was actually referring to, was, if it was
Only if it's
warranted.
helpful.
Yeah, only if it's helpful.
Mhm.
I don't wanna get into their knickers, but, if there's some questions that they have in their own mind, we might be able to provide some answers to them. But I think we kinda do that when we start developing the budget. As we were talking through the line items, we kinda help them break it out, this is a big number, how does that break out? We go through that, but.
This format okay? Second time going through it,
Yeah,
same format?
I like it.
Yeah,
Just brings the things that need attention to your attention.
Do you have the spreadsheet of the overall budget yet, or?
Yeah, you wanna see it?
I do.
This is it. 2023 Q2 data.
Yeah. Just a quick, while
It's a lot.
Joe's looking that up. Oh, you're not gonna send it to him, you're gonna display it?
Yeah, I was just curious where we're at. I mean, how current is this?
The end
As
of June.
June, 30 June.
Cause they only wanted the half year.
Actually, let me just go back up for a second here.
Some of the accounts have anomalies, like, some stipends had not been paid, it looked like it was way under executed, but we found out some of those stipends didn't get paid until like maybe July for that previous quarter or whatever, so you run into this kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
June 6th. So I'm curious what you have for that percentage left as of June.
For the total budget, you mean,
Yeah, on the total budget.
the aggregate?
Look on the bottom of that sheet that you had, that printout.
Yeah, I'm wondering if your spreadsheet is lining up with it.
Oh, well, I think it's just it's a,
It's a copy.
yeah, kind of, sort of. It's, we had to take it from a PDF and move it into something that we could actually work with, but hopefully that new software gives us a little more latitude to download it in Excel rather than
I thought I did
PDFs.
end up sending
I
it
did it
in
the wrong
so
way.
a CSV or something.
No, it was text.
Oh.
Wasn't as good as the last quarters.
Oh. Say something.
That-
Jason, look at the bottom before you get into the warrants on that PDF, and it should have a subtotal for the bottom line.
Oh, right here. 57.22.
So we've got 54% remaining budget right now.
In June.
No, the first
Oh,
half of the
right
year,
now.
we spent 46% through the first half of the year. So we've got 54% of our budget still remaining.
So that's what I was saying, you know, when you look at the aggregate, it's not as bad as it looks, but we've got some accounts that get a little wonky. And, you know.
And now this year began when?
January 1st.
And our budget kicks in March.
Actually,
Well,
no,
actually,
it's
No.
fiscal year, it goes January 1st.
Yeah.
Still, that's right, yeah.
The
The goal is-
salary changes don't kick in until 1st of
That's the
April,
thing,
but
anymore,
everything
right.
else is the same.
Which they accounted for.
By the way, for next year's spreadsheet, we didn't keep the first 3 months at the prior year salary level. We just used whatever your aggregate percentage is and run it for all 12 months, so we're not running into that issue again. I think that was your request, right, Debbie?
I was concerned with, because the way they calculated the, like the health insurance and the FICA and Medicare and salaries, that they did it, which is probably the right way to do it. So like January through the end of March is what we were getting the previous year, and then if the budget passed in April, you know, in March, it would start, all the raises or whatever started April 1st.
So we effectively still need it budgeted for 12 months.
Yes.
anyways.
Yeah.
Starting it in January
Yeah.
instead of April.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So by budgeting it that way for the full 12 months, that just gives us a little bit of risk coverage for January, February, March. That
Right.
just gives us a little bit of comfort.
Some cushion.
Right.
Yeah, cushion.
So what you'll see next year, and it's probably out of, but we have a totally integrated spreadsheet going into 2024, where if you have a hire, and based on some simple answers, you know, you answer for that employee, like are they full-time or not, or do they take life insurance, or do they pay FICA if you're a police officer or not? And it calculates through for every employee and calculates for the, I hope we get them all, Medicare, FICA, life insurance, dental, health, retire, all of that based on the calculus that's given to us. So now you just see it in one piece of paper.
Mm. And the other thing was, like if you hire a full-time, like police, we have to hire a full-timer. We don't know if they're gonna get a family plan for everything, if they're
Right.
gonna get a single, if they're not gonna get any health insurance, you know what I mean? So, like, technically, we really need to budget for the family plan for everything. And then, you know what I mean, if they don't get it or they get single, yay. You know what I mean? So you have that, but you can't budget for, cause I know we had budgeted for one person that was, you know, that they were single, and we budgeted what they currently have. So what if that person leaves? You know what I mean? And then the new person would get a family plan, then you're gonna be out on your budget, because
Mhm.
depending on what time of year they leave too, you know, how much is into it, or how long you go without someone, or,
That's just a risk. Just manage
Yeah.
that as a risk, yeah.
right.
So have any of the generator purchases been factored into this, or have we purchased any yet? Do you know?
It was gonna come, no, that was coming out of ARPA and capital reserve.
All of it was?
Yeah, nothing was coming out of the budget.
So we'll probably start kicking in our regular weekly engagements for the facts starting in September, and we'll be working with the departments in September, October, and into November, hopefully wrapping it up by mid-November. And then we'll re-engage with you again to go, I guess, through the same process that we did last year to get us to the end point in making a presentation to the town. That's kind of our game plan.
Okay.
At our last meeting, we suggested maybe a kickoff September 11th or 12th. We could
Yeah.
do it on Monday at the FAC meeting or Tuesday at the Board of Selectmen meeting where the department heads would come as well. That was our suggestion, either the 11th or 12th, depends on what you guys want to do.
We also wanted to ask you if you would deliver the message at the kickoff. An expectation of a response time. So if we reach out to them to talk to them about their budget or follow-up, that they get back to us within a certain amount of time, so we don't have to chase people.
And we'll build a schedule for you this year, and then we can just go over the schedule at that time. That's a good opportunity to say, these are the dates you need to hit.
What do you guys think? You wanna visit their meeting and,
What's
Or
that,
have-
on a Monday?
yeah, the 11th must be Monday, and, yeah. Or do you wanna have everybody come into our meeting on the 12th? Do us the Monday at their meeting on the 11th, or the 12th at ours. The benefit to us coming to yours is that, you know, we could make a statement, you know, hang out, but then still allow you to have your meeting, whereas if you came to ours, it'd almost be the opposite and less effective, potentially.
Sure,
Yeah, let's do it
I concur.
on Monday, because I may not be here on Tuesday.
Okay. Does that sound good to you, Jason?
Sure.
Alright, so we'll have to double notice that.
Okay.
And you guys start your meetings at
5.
5.
And so I'll send out an email to all the department heads requesting they be here.
I'll get an agenda for, we might as well just start blocking from September on,
Okay,
each of the Mondays.
okay.
And then I'll just send you the agendas as we need them. Excuse me.
And Debbie, I won't be here on the 12th at all.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions, issues, concerns?
Did you want to talk briefly
Well-
about the CIP?
Sure, so I guess just the concern is getting all the different, getting like those electric bills, you know, straightened out and, you know, it's like you're to your point, Dennis, that if this isn't corrected before we go into, you know, the budgeting process for 2024, it's gonna make it
Right,
an issue.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's why I was planning on doing it the last week of August there.
okay,
I'm just trying to go through every single bill we've paid in 2023.
okay.
So
And
I wrote
then,
down 4 things. The electric summary, I'll pull that together, just high level, where we're spent there. I'll send a note to Luke about the labor for patriotic purposes, but you probably still need to work that to transfer money out of it. Maybe.
I don't know, yeah.
Mentioned a report from the summary of the pool changes. And then probably summarize the mileage changes too, right?
mhm,
Those are the notes I took.
I need to excuse myself, I have to be in Peterborough by 6:30, so,
alright,
alright, I'll catch up with
Thank you for
guys.
coming.
Thanks, Mitch.
Thank you,
Right.
sir.
Thanks, Mitch. Good seeing you.
safe travels.
Thank you.
I guess we'll get back with you later, Mitch, on your
Yeah.
question.
Sure, yeah, if you can give us an update of where, like that, you know, working, you know, with D is at, with the CIP
Yep.
would be,
Okay, so Dee and I met a couple months ago, probably, had some discussions, big picture discussions. I got the Excel spreadsheets, all the numbers that were pulled together before, word summary, a lot of narratives. I pulled together a spreadsheet, I'm gonna call it a simple spreadsheet, but it turned out to be not quite so simple. But it summarized what I thought the plans were, provided that the D, met with D again, shared that with the team. We talked about it at our last FAC meeting. You know, that the capital improvement plan is a monumental effort. It's not gonna be a real quick thing. So we're thinking that maybe we can help out right away, try to understand that our vehicle plans, long-term vehicle plans. In addition to vehicles, each department has items that are gonna be replaced in the near future, like communications for the police and fire, things like that. We're gonna try to gather that information, but we may not have that final by the end of the calendar year. Vehicles we expect to have a good handle on and where we wanna go and provide a recommendation for. Things like the communications and other things, we're hoping to gather some data, probably be able to share that with you, but it won't be final yet, probably not. And then there's other items that we talked about that are much further reaching, like the gazebo, you know, restoring the storage building, a whole bunch of things that Dee had mentioned that are big, large scale things. We can continue helping out Dee a little bit to try to refine that, but you know, we only have another few weeks before the budgeting starts, and we're saying we're not gonna jeopardize that. But I'll just walk through this very, very briefly. This is a summary of the data that we have today. The numbers are not real. Vehicles were not too far off. Debbie provided the insurance reports that included the model, the year of the vehicles we have. Our prices are probably not too far off. Fire department, we're gonna be way off on. But we're gonna clean this up a bit. So, this is just a roll up here. I'm gonna go to the police one because I think that's the one we're in the best shape for. This is the data that we're getting from Mike. We're assuming that a purchase price of $53,000 today is reasonable. You know, here's the vehicles. Did we just receive a new one, by the way?
Mm-hmm. The chief's car, it's a 2020.
Yeah, excellent.
Three.
So what we do is anything in yellow here we capture from the chief. We go over when the planned replacement is. That's based on the life cycle, which is a variable. We can change that. We're gathering this data for each department right now for the vehicles. With this data, we can say how much money do we have today. Our current balance is $167,000. With the new vehicle, that obviously dropped quite a bit.
Haven't even gotten billed for it yet.
Nice, we will. And then we look at that capital balance, what we're spending, what's gonna happen over the out years, and we come up with a number that says, what do we have to put in on an annual basis to make sure that we can maintain this plan? And it's things that we can sit down at the table and talk through and say, do we want to push this one vehicle off a year, for example? Do we want to put off the fire truck for 5 years, for example? Well, we can have those discussions with you, and we can see the impacts. So it captures a lot of data, it reports it, and then it rolls it up into a pretty
A nice neat little box with the bow.
a pretty good summary that says, okay, so in 2023 we put $293,000 in. I can't swear by that number. But in 2024, right now with our bogus numbers that we know, we're looking at 643,000. Again,
Yeah,
we know
you
those
can't-
are wrong
You can't
numbers.
get precision with this kind of the process, but it does give you a ballpark, and it mitigates, the oops kind of expenditures that you're dealing with.
Well, that should be not so much an issue with these accounts because there's numerous sets of eyes throughout the process at like what's allowed to go, like through the account, like who's the authority, like the purchasing authority, does it have to go on warrant? So like I'd hope that there wouldn't be like that oops factor so much, cause I know like the trustees are pretty on the ball with, what they allow in and out or out of the accounts, for the specific purposes. Yeah, I feel like you were able to get a monthly report on the capital reserve accounts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So before we'd had to wait, it seemed like it was just once a year we'd get a
I
report.
sent that to them too.
Okay.
That's what these,
I think there were only
this
4
number
or
here is
5
based on
major
that.
departments that the vehicles had an effect upon, but they did go out to the department heads for them to look at, review, and validate the estimate numbers that were put into the spreadsheet. Now, I don't know what we're gonna get back, but it'll be a starting point.
Okay. Alright, well, it's nice to see it kinda coming together and that you have a plan, like to continue working on it.
Yep. I've got a meeting with Dee Thursday. Well, actually, she hasn't confirmed yet, but I think I'll be meeting with her on Thursday.
Okay.
So, and I'm just gonna go over this and really, we're gonna bound the effort initially, cause it's a big effort. So if we say, okay, let's just tackle the vehicles right away, try to get our handle on that, we get a handle on that, we look at department expenses, recurring expenses, which are capital items, we'll get a handle on that at some point in the near future. And then we really need, at that point, or sometime before then, we need to figure out how we're gonna deal with this big picture stuff, like a gazebo. If we're gonna spend $750,000 on something, how are we gonna deal with that? Those are discussions that has to take place. But
Yeah, no, and even some of those items that go into this I would assume would have to be approved by the select board. Like it can't just be put on there because we're gonna have to go through and approve all of these, like in that whole plan for the different items.
Yeah.
So that there is another step to this, and like the department heads can't just throw something on, except for like it's more informational, like, and so that we know where we're at, and then we sign off on it. They would be aware of it, and then that would be communicated back to our community members, so that everyone's aware of what the plan is going forward.
Yeah.
And then year after year they get that report.
yeah, so as with the FAC, I will gather the data and I'll present that to you.
Yeah.
We won't make any decisions or maybe recommendation, but really I will present that to the Board of Selectmen and say, how do you want to deal with this?
Mhm.
Because I know you look at some of the numbers that came in the plan, it's just not doable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great to say I'm gonna buy an $800,000 fire truck next year, but there's no money prepared for it, so it can't happen. But those are all decisions, but once we get the numbers and the math, you can say, okay, what happens if we push that out for 5 years? What will we have to do now to prepare for 5 years from now, or 10 years from now? But those will be discussions that have to take place. And we'll help with the data gathering, we'll help with the presentation, the organization of it, from a finance perspective.
You guys are setting the bar high for the next FAC.
Right?
That's enough of that.
We don't know who
You call
that's
that
gonna be yet,
before?
so,
Patting on the back.
Yeah.
okay.
No, it's good stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing.
makes
Yep.
makes it a lot easier to understand
Yeah,
all
Yeah.
of this.
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, definitely, to see that, the plans, being formulated, like all these things are occurring because of decisions and plans, that are being, hatched, 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and
Yeah.
everybody can anticipate knowing when the new, fire apparatus is gonna come or whatever it is,
Yep.
so, and hopefully that'll add to a feeling of pride in the community, knowing that we, successfully saved for something for, 5 to 10 years and, made that major purchase and came together as a group and, made it happen responsibly.
Yep.
So, this is, to me, a real community building tool, the CIP, because it gives everybody a voice in it. And when we put these capital improvements up onto the warrant, it's derived off a plan that's in place, instead of, I feel like we need some more money in there because we're losing ground just obscurely in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because I know this is above and beyond, the original scope that you're handed. So I really appreciate the additional efforts in it.
And we're gonna do the best we can, but we definitely have to bound it, don't set expectations too high at this point, but vehicles we're gonna cover this calendar year, and
Yeah.
hopefully we'll get some more on the department equipment as well, but,
There's work being done and it's appreciated. Yep.
okay, alright, that's all I have.
Vehicles are the big ticket items anyway, I think, and once we get a handle on that, we can start layering in the other technology issues and
Mm-hmm.
buildings.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
DPW stuff
Pavilions.
is a big ticket item too.
What was that?
DPW,
Yeah, it is definitely, yeah.
vehicle rotation on
I put all the,
What was that? I'm sorry, Lou. I didn't hear.
DPW,
that. DPW.
What about DPW?
Oh, it's a big ticket item because there's a vehicle rotation
Oh, yeah,
schedule
yeah,
for
they
that
got a
also.
lot of vehicles. As a matter of fact, about half of them.
and I actually listed all of the loaders, backhoe, all that stuff into the vehicles. So really, basically the same thing, so I figured that wouldn't be too overwhelming to capture that data, but, not saying we have to, but,
Yeah.
alright, that's it for us, right?
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Oh, I did, my wallet, yeah.
Yeah, leave that right there.
Everyone
Yeah.
needs that.
What are you
I
talking
heard
about? I
something
didn't
go
see
thump,
anything.
and I will see everybody again shortly.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for all your
Okay.
hard work. Oh yeah, you coming back for 7?
Yeah, I'm just gonna be a participant bystander, fly on the wall. Let John do all the talking.
John's gonna go, yeah.
Oh yeah, your road.
Mm.
You staying for that one?
Oh. It's a nice road
Stay,
though.
Give a rebuttal.
I think it's good to have it as a town road.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. I know it's a lot to maintain it, but it's
Yeah, that's a sexy looking laptop you got.
yeah, it's actually pretty cool. It's a tablet, so that it's a case, but really the whole brain's just that little tiny thin tablet. This thing just unplugs.
Nice.
Ooh. It's actually pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah.
And it worked well. I'm sorry, I'm real slow packing this thing up.
That's all right.
Wendy said, "Oh no, now you have a purse."
A man pack, huh? Man
Exactly.
purse.
Yeah. Come on. Okay.
It looks good on you. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. It's my color.
Yeah.
All
There you
right.
go.
Have a great
See you.
day.
Thank you guys.
Nice.
Alright. A lot there. I'd imagine you'd be able to get that emailed from them, so we can put it as a part of the minutes, the presentation.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're getting to the round table. I have, a few things I was looking into, but it sounds like you may be bringing them forward, so I'll let you drive the ship on this part of the meeting, so you can kind of go through your checklist.
Okay, so first thing Oh, I already wrote that on there. Why did I have that? Crying out loud. So Chief Abel had asked about what you guys want to do with the old police cruiser, the chief car.
Oh, lights.
Everybody's home already?
Yep.
Darn it. Oh, I can't
Thank
see
you, Ron.
that.
Sorry about that.
Thanks. About disposing of the old chief vehicle. Do you want to get rid of it like we did before and park it out here with the sign or whatever? Or do you want to do municipal bid or hang on to it as the selectman's vehicle or
We don't need a limo.
just kidding?
Though, hearing that mileage stuff, like it kinda, makes you wonder if it wouldn't have been costed less to keep that town vehicle around, so that people
Have
could
all
take it.
those fire people drive to
Yeah.
all pile in the same car, right?
I don't know, I'm trying to think, cause I feel like we had put some things, when you put it on municipal bid, you're not bound, like you don't have to sell it, you can have a reserve, right?
I think so, yeah.
And then we ended up putting them out there for private sale and ended up
And-
doing
yeah.
better, like a sealed
Yeah.
bid process locally.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
What is the stats on that car?
I don't know.
I'm wondering how old it is and how many miles are on it.
I don't know. He didn't get a chance to send me the email. So I'm not really sure.
alright, so we can move that to next week's meeting then, maybe? That make sense?
You need to know the stats on it too.
Well, I don't know, I mean, would it,
I'm just asking.
I was curious just because if it's not real high miles, then could it be used as a secondary cruiser until it's got high miles?
So I think with the
It's
police car, you
unlocked.
can't go by mileage, it's more the hours that it's
Mhm.
running.
Be that as it
that's-
may,
yeah.
that's what I'm wondering, where, is this on it's getting replaced every so many years
Yeah.
regardless?
Mhm.
So if that's the case,
So
does it pay to look at it and
it's
say,
the
hey, we
chief's-
could get another 3 years, let's throw a New Ipswich police emblem on it and get another 3 years out of it. If it was at that stage, because that's the thing, when you're replacing on a regular timeline, that doesn't necessarily reflect the amount of use the vehicle had. So
So this one recently got, when they were chasing that U-Haul or whatever, so it got damaged, so it needs work. I don't know if
Yeah.
they took out the whole passenger side.
I think he does it based on reliability, so
It also predates the Explorers, doesn't it?
I don't remember what it is.
'Cause
Well,
I
anyways,
think
it's just
I think it's one of
just
the
a
old,
thought.
one of the older cars anyway, but like they said, when they go out on a detail with it or anything goes on, it's idling and there's no
Yeah, I
clock,
understand that.
on that,
I
'cause
do
that puts a lot of
understand.
wear and tear on it.
Yeah, on certain parts of it, yeah.
So
I don't know, but-
he did recommend that we sell it.
and even, I understand what you're saying, but I think there might be an equipment issue too.
That's
Cause I
right.
believe they harvest what they can out
Oh,
of the
yeah.
old one and
They took
then
all the stuff out of it.
just trying to think of all the different, like
Yeah.
why you couldn't just simply do that.
Right.
And if it's not an
Yeah, it's
Explorer,
stripped
everything
now.
that they're getting now is going to be an Explorer. So that's why, like, during that last session that we had, I got up there and was asking that the budget be raised from 45 to 50,000 or something like that for the police
Capital
cruiser,
Reserve fund.
for the reserve fund, yeah. because getting all the lights, you know, they had an old Crown Victoria, and those lights and the spotlights and everything else are not the one that you could use on the Explorer.
Yeah, I know, and it's stripped, it's had all the stuff taken out of it.
So if it's damaged right now, then the likelihood of it selling out in the parking lot is probably a lot less if it's not drivable.
Excuse me,
Say.
he's seen, oh, it's drivable, he's been
Oh.
driving it,
Oh, I thought
it's just,
said
it
it was
just needs
wiped out.
repair. They hit the whole passenger side, so but it's drivable. He recommended we sell it, and he thought we could get a half decent amount for it.
Yeah, I know.
I don't
used
wanna
cars
say
are-
anything in case we do decide to do it and somebody
Mm-hmm.
would bid that much, but he did have a dollar amount in his head that he thought we could get for it. If we just, I mean, because we did good.
So I do know that, you know, on 2 vehicles, we did better doing the local sealed bid
Yeah.
and advertising it ourselves
Yeah.
than doing that municipal bid. Seemed like
Right.
it was lowball and not even
Mm-hmm,
close,
right,
so.
And what about just putting it in the parking lot?
Well, and then,
That's
yeah,
what
you
he's
put it in the
saying.
parking lot and then you take sealed bids.
Or is
Like
that
you
how-
have like
Yeah.
a bid date, so you almost run your own
right,
auction, so to speak. So we'll say we need all bids in by whatever date, and they don't get opened until, we're in a meeting, like that meeting, and then that's when it all gets opened, so it's a fair process.
You wanna go for it?
Yeah, 'cause we put it out now, we could have you know, it'd be about a month out. And I think
Yeah.
September 12th, we could, you know, make the bids due back by September 11th.
okay.
So
Right.
what does the chief use as a vehicle in the
He-
interim?
He just got his new one,
Excuse me?
he got his new vehicle,
Oh, he did.
yeah,
Mhm.
so it's all unregistered,
Yeah, I'll take it away.
at 6:00.
Yep.
Okay,
Well, is that when the clerk's office open till? Is 6?
on a Tuesday, they close at 4.
No, Monday, September 11th. They should be due.
4,
Yeah,
they close at 4. Oh, bids due,
September 11th
I was thinking,
at 4.
the opening of the bids.
Okay. Oh, okay, yeah, and then the
Nine,
opening we can
12,
do on the 12th
6
at
p.m.
6, yep.
Sorry, that's what I was thinking, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Everybody in agreement, do you have to vote on it or anything, or just agree?
Make a motion, we put the old chief
The old
vehicle.
clunker,
What's that?
the old clunker,
The old chief vehicle up for us, our, how do you say, our locally run sealed bid.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
okay, so that, since we're on police, we might as well keep on police. So here's my little, I made a copy of this for you guys. They've had a water leak in Cruiser 1 and it's like sloshing around and soaking the floor, carpet, liner. It has 51,000 miles on it, it's the 2020 Explorer. They can't really even drive it right now because the strong odor of moisture, mildew and mold. He has it at MHQ and it's gonna cost about $3,000 to fix it. One of his comments was not sure if the town should seek restitution from Mallet Auto or perhaps check with Primex to see if this type of damage is covered by the town's insurance. He has enough money in his budget to cover it, but the pictures are there of the damage and mold and et cetera. What MHQ found was that it was when they had a battery installed in October, the wiper cowl wasn't secured properly after the battery was replaced. Failing to seat the cowl correctly allows water to enter the vehicle through the firewall. So they also noticed mold is beginning to grow on the dash. So it was done at Millett's, but you know, Mike said it was in October and it's been leaking for like a couple of months now, so he doesn't know, like,
Has he reached out to Millette, or?
to my knowledge, he has not, but
That would be
he,
the, seems like the first step.
Mhm.
See
So-
if they'd be
I
willing.
would think,
and I reached out to Primex and she suggested, you know, talking to Millette, see if they would be willing to even split it or whatever or something,
Or do the
cause there's no way
repairs
to
that
know
are
if
needed,
that,
right?
Yeah, you could definitely, it's definitely worth
a phone call,
a call to see, you
mhm.
know, what their perspective is on it.
right,
And then in the future, if we're gonna use the two different companies, or the companies' names, we should probably hold it in non-public, just so that,
yeah,
you know,
sorry, everybody. Can we take that back? Can we retract it? Zip it!
no,
So we'll, alright, so I'll have Chief call them.
'cause I know the intent's not to
No,
cause an issue.
no, absolutely not, no, and like he didn't, yeah. So that's why he wrote on here, it's not sure, he's not sure if it was their error or not, I mean, maybe just driving around and, you know, it can loosen things or whatever, so he didn't know
Yep.
what you guys wanted to do, so,
Yeah, phone call first, always.
yep. And then, I did send it over to Primex and, you know, she suggested call them first, but if not, it would be covered or, you know, he can take it out of his budget either way, but he said it absolutely has to be fixed, it's all ripped apart right now,
Mhm.
so they can't use it. So,
So that cruiser's 3 years old already,
it's got 50,000 on it.
and it's got 50,000.
So, I guess depending on what they say, I'll send you guys an email so he can tell the other place to fix it, not fix it, how we're gonna,
Well, it needs to be fixed, and it
Yeah.
sounds like if, you know, I would think that we utilize our insurance,
okay,
because we pay for it,
okay,
you know, right, for 3,500 if we have to,
yep,
but, yeah,
okay,
I think one way or another, it needs to be fixed,
has to be
shouldn't,
fixed,
and
right.
put back into service,
yep,
right?
exactly. Okay,
So no matter how it happens,
yep. I guess this'll have to be a non-public. What else we get? We received the check for the $45,000 for the highway block grant. They usually divvy it up twice a year, so
Mhm.
we got that check in,
Do we have that money already targeted for anything?
yes, we factor it into the paving plan,
Oh, okay.
the road plan. So I got that, I get that.
well, Peter uses that, yeah, for like repairs and things, the block grant, cause the paving warrant articles aren't intended to do maintenance,
Maintenance.
yeah, so this is the maintenance aspect, and that's
Right.
why they'll use that to purchase the culverts and the
Yeah.
different
Right.
things that we do before the paving happens.
Yep.
Yeah,
Although one of the warrant articles did cover maintenance.
yeah, the word was in there,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, we put it in there.
Yeah, we left it, yeah.
Well, I think we put it there. Intentionally, I remember that meeting.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Cause when it came up at the meeting, it didn't,
Yeah, I think I said it there, I remember we did that.
uh,
The motivator it was because the people in town have very loudly told us they love their roads,
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, that's true.
so. And does the block grant give enough to maintain all these new roads? I think that was what we discussed, and that's when we were
Yeah.
like, well, if there needs to be maintenance, then we don't want the roads to fall apart, but.
Because when it came into question at the deliberative session, I didn't recall, like I felt like we didn't understand exactly how it was placed in there, and I remember coming to the point that we had put it in there specifically.
Oh, I did.
Okay.
I thought I said something, maybe I'm mistaken, but I do remember I remember having that discussion
yeah.
in this room, but
Okay.
we're gonna revisit the warrant.
Well, no, I
Yeah.
want to be prepared for it again, like this year,
Yeah.
because like at that point, I didn't recall
Yeah.
that occurring, so
Right.
if that's, yeah, and no, it makes sense to me, like to have it, you know, got a
If they
little
need,
flexibility in it, like
Mhm.
to have some maintenance too, be a part of it. But yeah, cause like that highway block grant, you know, it goes up and down the amounts that we
Yeah.
receive from it, so it's not predictable.
Right,
Do we receive this annually or biannually or what?
twice a year.
It's biannual.
Mhm.
And then also the brownfield, about the old highway garage. So he is going to JB Mack from Southwest Planning. He wants to meet, I had mentioned this last week too,
Mhm.
with you guys, either in person or by phone. He said, that the DES and the company that did the original analysis of the property would be there. Paul Somro would like to be there, obviously. And just, so does it have to be at a selectmen's meeting for you guys, or, cause it can't, it's, he suggested non-public under 2D or 2L. And to discuss all the results and the factors and the next steps and what you can do, but you don't, obviously you don't have to do that. But would it have to be at a selectmen's meeting, or could you guys meet like during the day at any point? And I still don't have the final report, they're waiting on the DES part of it.
Well, I guess
For
I'd
that.
like to see the final report first, like, 'cause I don't quite understand why it had to be done in non-public exactly, cause, you know, the community as a whole
Right,
should know where we're at with that
Yep.
piece of property.
okay.
But, so I don't know what the benefit, like why, like that would even be
Well,
proposed, like,
Didn't know if you guys would
Yeah.
wanna.
I don't know,
I share that.
yeah.
He didn't know if you guys would wanna do that or not,
Oh, like it's an option.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would prefer to have it public.
Yeah, public,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's hard to, I agree about our preference being public, but there might be information that they are not comfortable talking about.
Well,
So
if they have
we
to
have
do
to
it,
get their,
like,
we have to get their
yeah.
input.
So if it has to do with names or agency,
Right.
like they can just omit all, like do not have that a part of their presentation
Yep.
to us.
Mhm.
But the overall,
Yeah,
like what's going
all we're worried about is the soil.
Yeah,
And,
Right,
we don't really
Getting
care what
that deep.
transpired
Right.
over the decades, it's just,
yeah,
yeah,
So if it's possible, I'd like to see it public.
mhm,
yep,
that's what we.
And it would be nice to have it here. I know I guess starting at 5 o'clock makes it a little easier for some people.
I agree, cause it's a regular meeting and we'll have more, more likely than not, the recording will happen and
Yep.
then it'll be,
okay,
Now,
On
would
the airwaves.
they have the right to request a non-public
yes,
Mhm.
as a consulting firm?
if it's
Awesome.
advice, I guess, I don't know.
nice to see what the feedback is from
Yeah,
them.
well,
on
he
those
didn't
thoughts.
say we had to have a non-public, he was just saying if they chose to do it in non-public, then
Did he give any indication of dates where they'd be
no,
available?
I emailed him about that and I said, is there any dates that work better for you? I'll mention it to the board tonight, see what they're looking at.
Mhm.
So,
Sooner the better,
Yeah,
in my mind.
yeah, and ahead of the meeting, a report, like the report,
yeah,
so we can come with questions and make the best
Right.
use of the time
mhm,
with them.
okay,
You're gone that week.
yep. So 29th, see if they can do the 29th.
Sure. I think there's a couple things we threw on the 29th, but I might be confusing that with the planning board stuff at the 30th, I don't know,
So we're looking
Yeah, I
at
know
August
there's something
29th,
on there, but I can't remember what,
yeah,
August
that?
29th?
yeah, August 29th.
at 5. Alright, I'll send them that tomorrow and see if they can all be there. I think that was all I had, other than you were gonna, Jen sent out an email today that the planning board and the board of selectmen meeting on the September 20th at 7:30.
Yeah, I didn't get confirmation from that was just that's not solid.
Etched in stone?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
that's a part of my update too, yeah, so, the planning board came up with a date, like in order to have, welfare officer and any other agency official that she feels may lend some insight into the housing issues in our region. And September 20th, and I just need to get verification from Carrie that that's good for her and that they'll be able to make it, so that'll be, September we'll be on tour a little bit. So we'll be looking to go to a planning board meeting on September 20th potentially. And those meetings start at 7 typically, but I'll have all that information for you.
okay.
Yeah.
She sent, I know she sent Carrie an email today to verify if she could go,
Okay,
Jennifer did.
alright. Cool. You had sent me something, I didn't know if the other guys were blind copied on it or not, the Vertex update that they're looking to get
Oh,
going.
yeah.
I didn't see it.
Alright,
Yeah, I don't think I
So-
did, I think that was the last minute, oh, hey, look at this, I just got this.
yeah,
So I sent Fran Parisi from Vertex regarding the cell tower up on Old Ringe Road now. He sent a few documents, I sent them over to the attorney for their review. And hopefully we can get moving on that. They wanna start September, October, building, doing something, making some
Okay.
progress.
Have they pulled the permits or?
Not yet, they're waiting for us to get
because there's an agreement that has to come to us too, to make sure that we're, and
Yeah,
it all looks good.
Yeah, didn't they have to get, I guess the permits are gonna be from the planning board, right?
no,
No,
No.
building
not
permits.
building department. Yeah, the
They needed
planning board
something-
doesn't issue.
They needed some approval from the planning board.
The
They-
site plan review.
Yeah.
They
They-
got
The
that.
site
Yeah, they
plan,
gained
got
that
already.
approval and then it's conditional on a few things and one of it is review of that agreement.
Yep.
Okay.
So once the attorneys are done with it.
Yep.
We'll get that and be able to look it over.
Yep. Yay. That'd be so exciting. And I do have the packet from Lisa. So this list is everyone that is eligible for being tax deeded and the waivers are attached. So I sent out letters to all of these people requesting that they get in touch with me to set up a time to meet with you guys to set up a payment arrangement if they would like to avoid the deeding process. So by September 18th, all these meetings will be completed. If they don't show up, she has to deed them. So, but I sent out certified letters requesting them call me.
How many are there?
12. 11, actually. 11. 11 people, 13 pieces of property. One of them owns 3 and the other one owns 2.
And that's gonna be reviewed when?
September 19th, Lisa will be sending out the deeding notices. The deeds will be official, and if they don't pay off their stuff by, I think it was October 23rd or 24th, in that email that she sent to all you guys,
Mm-hmm.
she sent you guys an email of all the
Mhm.
dates.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it was nice to see all that come together and have a process and hopefully a template for
Yep.
next year.
To be paid by October 24th, right?
No, I don't remember the
Well, it's
date
in
off
the
the top of my
email,
head. She sent you an email,
Okay, I know.
and it's in there.
She didn't blind copy, so it might show up as Sean.
Okay.
It may not show up with her as
No,
tax
sh-
collector.
should show up as town clerk. Sent to
Not as-
Sean.
Because if someone
He
replies,
replied.
this is how Outlook does it for.
Yeah, he
that very
replied to
first-
it.
Yeah, it's gonna show up as, like it came from Sean, but it didn't originally.
Oh, really?
Well, the original one will
Because you
still show
replied to
up as
all.
her. Yeah, but the original one should
Yeah.
still show up as her.
I'm just saying when he looks in his inbox, it may be,
Oh.
the title might say.
If you just search for
but it's
deeding,
okay.
Yeah.
it'll be there. Okay, so there's that. I think that's all I have. Sorry. I monopolized. I'm done.
Lou, did you have anything you wanted to discuss?
Yeah, this is kind of on a personal note. I live on Old Bolton Road, as everybody knows, and there's a lot of full dump truck traffic going by. And, you know, these are 15, 17-yard dump trucks, so they're up in the 70,000 pound range. And the road's getting torn up, it's getting worn down real fast because of it. And just want to know, what's it gonna take to get a sign put up saying, no through trucks? Because they're using it as a shortcut from Greenville Road over to 45.
Can we do that?
Yeah. We took them down, we put them up. If it's like needed, I don't know,
And also get at
you're
the
gonna
end.
have like a weight limit sign on them.
It doesn't even have, just through trucks, because if you have a weight limit, that some of the guys that are delivering propane or fuel oil
Mm-hmm.
might consider themselves being limited for access there.
Or they might consider themselves being a truck. If you say no through trucks.
Mm.
Well, also it's helpful with those signs that have the classification, like
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
it's like 3 or 4
Yeah.
different things.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
what's not allowed
Right.
down that road. Because of course pickup trucks, you know, would be fine.
Would be fine, yeah.
Right.
And usually the
And
propane.
oil trucks.
Yeah, and oil
Yeah.
trucks.
When was that road repaved, do you remember?
It was due to be paved last year, and then it was gonna be this year, and now it's supposed to be next year. So I would imagine
So-
it's been,
I never heard it was even on the list this year, did you?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm. It wasn't supposed to be done this year.
when they did that thing, they said that it needed not complete paving, but some patching.
Oh, this was Southwest Regional?
Yeah, that report.
Yeah, so the way that the road committee uses that is
'Cause
you
it
can't
got-
just go right off that because we do have a set number of dollars that we can utilize. So you have to go look like bang for the buck, and that's why it's all over on that other end of town right now.
Yeah, and I think the road committee had said that it was going to get done next year, or
The road committee has not come up with a proposed list for next year yet.
or Peter mentioned it or something.
Okay.
The other thing that I would like over on 45, at the intersection of 45 and Old Wilton, is have a mirror put up on a utility pole so that you can see the traffic coming in from Temple.
Figure it out with the mirror.
Yeah. At least you'd be able to see around the turn. Right now, cars are coming through there at 40 miles an hour, and they're on top of you before you get out of there, get off the road.
Sorry, I was making a note. Was that at the end of that road?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
So
road's
that makes
horrible in
sense.
the winter too.
So I should,
And a mirror, I think, is minimal cost. We got a mirror for some other intersection
yeah,
here
probably.
a few months ago. Yeah.
Mm.
So I'll have to, I can talk with Peter about both them issues this week.
Thanks for that email.
You're welcome. All right.
Could I see that list? The auction.
Not auction.
No, you're right.
Okay.
Mm. So that was it?
That's it.
Sorry. Jason, did you have anything? Alright, so make a motion that we take a 20-minute break until the public hearing on Old Beaver. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mhm.
It's too late, B. You can't start talking now.
Oh, oh, sorry, I assumed that you came in for that. Was that right, or did you want?
Well, I can ask about when you wanna schedule, the looky-loo at the inspection stuff on the handoffs between building, road agent, and the planning board engineer. When do you wanna schedule that to go through?
What days are best for you?
Well, I figured I'd come to one of your select board meetings.
Yeah, so I know that you travel, so was there like a date
I'm
that worked
good
best?
for a bit. I'm good for a bit. So not next Tuesday probably. It's colonoscopy day. I know you're just dying to know that.
Thanks for sharing.
I know. So I don't know if the following Tuesday works or what.
Yeah,
And you're on candy camera.
Or do the 29th? How does that work? Because Debbie's gonna be away on the 22nd.
I think that works okay. Let me look at the schedule. The schedule. 29th works good.
So are you gonna send that spreadsheet to all of us beforehand
Mm-hmm.
so they can?
I haven't had any comments from anybody, so I should, but I want to give them just another day or two to weigh in if there's anything that they want to comment on.
Okay.
So that was when we were hoping for the brownfield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has there been any
What are we calling
response
that?
from this reps?
Jim Kofalt said, yeah, I sent out like a calendar invite. Jim Kofalt said yes, and no one else has
When was the
responded.
date?
I responded.
Well, none of the other reps.
Alright.
I think it was it the 19th, September 19th.
I don't remember
I
offhand.
don't remember. So I was planning on sending them, and if they didn't respond by tomorrow, because it's been over a week or a week.
I can
It's
text
been
them.
a week.
I could text them.
Sure.
Hey, respond to the
Calendar invite. What are we calling this form
Uh,
thing?
All right, we're
Whatever.
on recess, huh?
planning, building, road agent handoffs
Okay.
and
Oh.
inspections.
That was actually for the 29th.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
So that would be at 7.
Yep.
Okay. Was it the 29th?
Yeah.
Which one's at 7?
The state reps.
Okay.
Planning, building.
State reps was the 29th.
Yep.
What
Of
time will it be,
August.
Debbie?
So that's the same day as we're meeting with the planning board for whatever.
I gotta go look at my
Brownfield.
calendar on my desk because we just added 2
Good,
things
too
for
many
that
things
night.
stacked on,
Yeah.
I reckon.
Yeah.
So we have, Brownfield at 5 if
If
they're
they
okay
can.
with that.
Yeah.
And then, I feel like there was something else on that day. I'll look at
Unless maybe it was the state reps part.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. That was on
So
there.
8/29 is gonna be the,
Nothing's confirmed.
We don't know
Yeah.
yet.
The only thing that's confirmed is D.
Yeah.
Tentative dates.
So you wanna do that at 6?
Yeah. Yeah.
Alright. Alright, I'll go look at my calendar and, have a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Don't talk
you wanna
about
tell them? Oh, can you tell them,
Well, we can leave it on.
You can leave
It's
it
still
on.
it's a
Yeah.
public meeting. Yeah, we just can't come to any decision.
yeah, but
Yeah.
20 minutes, I'm just blank.
I don't know. Well, no, there's been some issues with the pausing and restarting, so I'd almost rather not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure we'll have some general conversations that kind of tide people over. Yeah. Well, all the AC humming.
Okay, find some documents.
Have we got an estimate to repair that yet? That's pretty annoying.
Yeah, because it's all it is what she said. It was just the pump to get the moisture out of it, right? Something like that. And if it was mounted on an exterior wall, that component wouldn't have been necessary, I believe.
Well, it sounds just like a hotel room to me. So it doesn't
Oh,
matter if
really?
it's mounted on the outside, that's the noise from the hotel. That's why all I have is flashbacks every time it goes off. I'm like, hotel room.
Yeah.
Because it's usually near the desk, so if I'm on a conference call, I'm kind of like, can you speak up?
Yeah.
Let's see, there are rules about noxious behavior,
There you go.
depending on what the sign says.
Right.
We still have some interesting signs along some people's properties. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
I will leave it at that.
We got public commentary all over the place.
I know, right?
That's under the tabletop.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Yeah, so I just gotta wait till 7, like before we can get into it. Just in case anyone wants to come on in.
Good evening.
How's it going?
Pretty good, you?
Not too bad.
Beating myself up. Oh, I should have had everybody sign in.
Do you want us to take it and pass it?
Yeah, if you don't mind, that'd be awesome. Thanks so much. Oh, hi.
You mean? Mr. Somro.
Long time no see.
You
This
get,
was-
you get the.
I could say the same deal.
You get
Yeah.
the Pete and repeat, and then you come here and hello, Mr. Somro.
You guys put in a long day today, huh?
What's
I
that?
see you put in a long day today. Unless you just started at 5.
Yeah, we just start at 5.
Yeah.
Me.
He starts at 7.
Nobody's got a real job during the day.
No, he
Or
starts at
6.
7.
Oh,
This is my second iteration for this meeting.
I know.
Oh, it would be very dangerous for these people in this office if we didn't have a real job.
yeah.
Definitely.
Work in the halls all day.
Yep. Oh, I could give you plenty to do. So can you write out all these certified letters for me?
I think you wouldn't have time to figure out what to give me to do with all the stuff there.
I know.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Going through all the bills, that's.
I already
I
signed
think I
that.
offered
so you won't
once,
have
and
to
then
sign anything.
once you said it, it didn't sound so attractive. It was
Right.
like, eh,
Yeah,
I
no,
don't think
not so
so.
much.
it's taking longer to get up to speed on whatever it was than it would be effective for the 2 extra hours that I had.
Right.
Anybody else? Let's see, everybody sign in?
I think so.
Yeah, got 7 names. We got 1, 2, 3, 4.
Awesome, thank you so much.
I added
You're
Bernie
welcome.
since he's on his
Okay.
way. That way we don't have to go through it again.
Thank you.
Then, do you have copies of that, like the breakdown for everybody? Like the expense that was worked out? Like the total dollars, like,
I just have a total dollar.
okay,
So John got a bid and then I got a bid,
okay.
but
But they weren't competitive bids, right? And they're not with any
mine
more
was,
stuff?
mine
yours
was,
was.
yeah. I asked Peter to call.
Well, yeah, we can get like 2 minutes. 2
Yeah,
minutes,
sorry.
I'm sorry. I just didn't know if you had something to hand out to everybody
No.
to look at.
Not really,
Alright.
because he just put it on a spreadsheet of from the road committee. He
Uh,
just added it to our paving list for this year.
okay.
Maybe I should move. I might wear that camera.
Oh, they move around.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
As you speak, they like follow your voice.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like that,
Alexa
but. cool music or something.
Yeah, some Jeopardy music.
We could have Lou starting on a countdown.
I got
I'm
seven.
sorry, what about Lou?
Countdown. You wanna do the countdown?
I got 7 on my watch.
Oh, yeah, I got it. Alright, seeing that it's 7 o'clock, I'm going to reopen the public hearing regarding the possible, acceptance of Old Beaver Road. Thank you all for coming in this evening. I guess, I'm not sure where we wanna start. Debbie, did you wanna?
Probably John, right?
Well, I mean, I had a presentation assuming there might be a public, somebody else other than the homeowners who have all seen what I had to present. It's a little bit about demographics, how long the road is, some other details.
Might be interesting.
I don't know if you want to see it.
It'd be good, cause public maybe watch
Yeah,
it.
they do
Okay.
watch, yeah.
All right, then you had an HDMI overhead?
Yep.
Oh, look at that.
Peter, probably gonna have to have you move so he can sit there with his
Yep.
laptop.
Okay. You want me to scoot over that way?
Yeah.
You can go.
And Lou, you just turn the TV on.
Hmm?
Power button for the TV.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, there we go.
That's assuming this is going to work.
Check the cable connection. I thought he should shut it off. I didn't think he hit so.
Well, what I did was I shut it down when I left the house, which I should have just closed the lid like we all do. I thought I'd show up here with a dead battery with my luck, so
Oh.
Yeah.
give me about a second.
Oh, no, I was saying the TV, but maybe.
Oh, as soon as this
Oh, there
comes
you
up,
go.
that'll come up.
Okay, I know.
look at
Well,
Aw, that's sweet.
Wishing out west.
sorry, hon.
Well, that's all I was doing that day.
Can you see? Yeah,
Since we have plenty.
Could you send that to me also?
Yeah.
And I can include it in the minutes.
And then I have a little treat for you.
Oh. Is it chocolate?
Better.
Lobster?
So, let's see. So the first thing was a little bit about this subdivision history. We think right around 2006, a landscaper named Charlie Watt was doing business as 112 Chestnut LLC, who created and developed the subdivision. Put in the infrastructure, the roads, built houses 1 through 4, plus there was an existing old farmhouse that's been renovated and occupied since. At some point in time around 2010, and you guys may already know all this, he went bankrupt and the property went into auction. I guess it sat for a number of years, and then finally Sanken, local developer, bought it in 2014 and started what they called phase 2 of the build out. Now both Charlie and Kenny, who is the owner of Sanken, both along the lines had always intended, or at least Charlie had intended to build out and complete the road once the last home was built. I mean, that was what was passed on to the homeowners and the potential buyers, and even during the transaction at the when it went into bankruptcy, he passed on. This is all word of mouth. That he had passed on that his intent had always been to finish up the subdivision, and that road, although would be private, would be ready for public consumption or turnover. That was the understanding of the homeowners up until 2012 or 13. And then again, when Sanken started the development, they built out from 2014 to 17, built out the remaining homes. And again, the developer had indicated and even had the option of holdbacks to finish the road. Here we are today, road never got finished. Although the permits by the town were issued with the assumption that the road was going to do something. It was going to be brought up to code, or it was going to transition. All of these things, again, no formal documentation other than what you guys have seen in the planning board minutes from 2014 through, I think, late 16. So, I mean, that's where we are today. 15, the HOA was developed. The final transition of homes was built and sold, and the HOA assumed the responsibility of the road. Okay, and at this point, you know, over the years, we've had these discussions probably at least once a year since I've been here in 2015, where we've talked to someone, whether it be the road planning committee or the planning board, about the dedication and turnover of the road. And finally this year, maybe some traction. So that's kind of where we are up to this point. Any questions on anything specific to this? A little bit about the demographics. The road is 3,168 feet long, 0.6 miles. The loop, not including Arrowhead Drive or Arrowhead Lane. 16 homes, 50.5 acres, and these are from the tax rolls. 39 residents, 50% veteran owned, 5 school-aged children, assessed at $5.1 million on the 22 tax base, with a contribution of $108,000 in taxes from the community. Maybe you already knew this, maybe this is news, maybe this is not a big deal. I found the last 2 lines a little bit of a surprise when I did the research on the tax rolls. Didn't realize we were that heavily invested into the town. Maybe that's not a lot by normal standards, but for a small community of 16, it seemed like a heavy investment in the tax base.
So just to be clear, that tax base isn't just the contribution to the town, it's the.
Oh, I get it.
Most of it's the school.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all in.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
all in. I didn't want to, it was already a nut roll to get that number.
Yeah,
I didn't want to
I
go
get
any
it,
deeper.
but yeah.
But I wanted to
yeah.
show the contribution that the town makes to the community in a dollar sense is what the tax base looks like. I get it, doesn't go to the town, some of it goes to the school and other places.
Mhm.
But it's based on the natural spread of the rules that you guys apply to the tax base, right? So,
If I could back up
yeah.
on the previous page, what were you saying when the remaining land was purchased and the new builder took over? Did you say that they said they were going to bring the road up to spec?
Yeah, so that's Sanken, 2014, when they bought the property at auction. At least to my understanding, I know it happened to me and at least 3 other confirmed, was that Sanken committed to upgrading the road and putting a final top coat on it and finishing any drainage issues and shoulder issues because of his heavy equipment that was coming on the road. He was running graders on the road, track vehicles, you know, and it tore up the road some. But then it went to the planning board. So this is what he told the buyers, right? The people that he had contracts with, that bought the land and did the contracts for build. But then in 15 and 16, when his lawyers met with the planning board and the selectmen, that kind of changed based on the way they reviewed the road. They looked at the top coat, they looked at the quality of the road, and some decisions were made. And it's all in the minutes from the planning board, right, Dee? All of that detail, if you go back and look, where there was an agreement, or at least an assumption of agreement, between the 2 organizations on how the road would proceed. You would issue permits to let the rest of the homes be built with the road the way it was, assuming that the road was going to be continued to be upgraded through the last permit that was issued. And then the final road build would be done after that last home was built, and that was 2017. And that never happened. Now,
Actually, the planning board amended it to remove the requirement.
okay.
That's what happened at the
That's-
final planning
that's
board
what
meeting.
happened.
Is the planning board said, that there was controversy over who was responsible for paving the road, and that the Sanken decided to apply for an amendment to say they didn't need to do it, and the planning board said that road will last forever as it is, it's fine, and it'll last 20 years, whatever, there's not gonna be a lot of traffic, and so we're removing the requirement, basically saying the road will be done when it is crack sealed. I think it was crack sealed or seal coated, I think.
And
at
there
that
wasn't
point-
even a top coat put on.
No, because again, the planning board
Right.
waived it. They amended the subdivision plan not to require it. They said it was not required and it would be good enough.
And I think all this is documented in the planning
Yeah.
board minutes.
Yeah, I just wanted to refresh my.
Yeah, and the point I was trying to make, Jason, is that the builders, what they told the buyers and the commitment that they made to the buyers, not that it holds up in this meeting or any court,
Right.
was much different than what ended up happening.
And the
'Cause
state
it was all
legislature
verbal.
requires.
We were the second buyers in that development, and Charlie, a very, very nice person, said, Ray, when we're done with the last house, you'll have a finished road. Sancan came in on the 7th house, said the same thing. Here we are.
So that's where we are. Anyway, again,
Yeah.
history, we're not gonna rehash it, we're not gonna fix it.
Right.
Just how we ended up getting here and where the homeowners kind of stand on this.
And then the planning board said that they removed that requirement
Yeah.
at that,
So
at a
the
meeting.
subdivision plan would be met when they seal coated and put up the final markers for the properties. So they signed off on saying the subdivision plan was met. We didn't do as-bills, but.
And this is kind of what it looks like. This is the property map from the original property line. And I just wanted to give it to you as to show that we're talking about, when we're talking about road, we're talking the entrance to the loop, but not Arrowhead. Just if you walked it, so you see it, but if you hadn't, and here's another aerial view of the same. Again, it shows the entrance off Ashburnham Road and then the loop, not including Arrowhead that we were looking at to turn over. And if that's not enough of detail on what the road looks like, again, this was assuming there might be somebody who would want to see what the road looked like in
Yeah.
real life, so to speak. Dennis put this together for us. I think it's a pretty decent view of an expectation. I think it's going to come in. Yeah. And the point of this was really to show the quality of the road, the shoulders, the property along the east side of the road, to give you an idea of what you're dealing with. Easy for you to
That on the
say.
remote loads on the remote.
And I'm sure you noticed during your walk around the number of patches and seals and shoulder repairs and cutouts that have taken place over the last, I think since 2016. So the last 6 or 7 years that work has been done. The other purpose behind the video is to show the quality of property that the town would be assuming. There's a lot of value in a road like this, with this kind of a community, that the town should just be fighting to take over. You're supposed to be nodding your head and smiling like, yeah, we get it. Sean's like, what?
Yeah, so am I.
Yeah, this wasn't meant to be a promotional video, it was just to give you an idea of down there what we're looking at. And Debbie, I can send you this if you want, if your records too.
Might as well have it all.
By the way, I wasn't racing down the
I was
street.
gonna say, were
ran
you
it up a little
speeding?
bit. Took a long time to get along.
Oh, I thought you were in a go-kart.
No drawing?
You were gonna bring
Wait
it.
for it.
There you go.
I think you get the idea. Right? It's a couple different views from the aerials. And that was it. That's all I wanted to show. Little demographics, what the community's made up of, kind of where we got here, and a first-hand view of the neighborhood.
Okay. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thank you, for taking
Yeah.
the time, for all that additional information, because it'll definitely be good to have as a part of the public record as well. Yeah, the green switch.
Right? Blind.
Now, as we've kind of previously discussed, sharing some type of cost sharing. So I know that, I guess you had gotten an estimate on repaving, and then we had some
Yeah.
numbers run based on, it must have been this year's paving numbers.
Yeah, so our quote was, if it was taken over, it wouldn't be done till next year, but, the quote we got for paving for this year, they gave us a ballpark for what that would be.
Oh, so the actual company did?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all state then?
Yeah, all
Okay.
states, yep. So, and the quantities were a little bit different because, 2-inch base and 1-inch 3/8 top coat, and we'd do a half inch of 2-inch top coat. So we had a little bit of a difference in.
Yeah, I asked Shattuck to worst case it,
Yeah,
because if we, that way we knew,
yeah,
we had to jump in with both feet.
yeah. So
what
yours
we-
was like 225, right?
Yeah, it was 2 1/4. What was yours?
154.
Big difference.
Yeah.
So, and I did that specifically. I said, but they were going to work with you guys to get your specs. I'm assuming Shattuck
He did.
contacted
They
you.
did. Yep. They
And,
talked to Peter.
But I told them, worst case it on a private contract, and not through a
Right.
municipal or whatever.
Right.
And that's what they did.
Yep. So, and Peter also, normally if we do a base coat, we want it to winter over and then do the top coat the following year. So for reclaiming in the base coat, the first year, it would be $82,833, and then the top coat the following year would be $71,320. But again, that's based on 2023 asphalt prices.
So those prices will change potentially?
Yep.
If
Yeah.
the price of oil goes down.
If the
probably
price of
quite a
oil
bit.
goes down, it would go down, but the price of oil goes up, like gas prices.
Well, I mean, Shattuck was an estimate too. It's
Yeah,
not,
yeah,
unless
exactly.
you're signing a contract with a deposit today, that number's going to change.
Right, and also, that number that we got from all states was based on the quantity that Shattuck said. It was like 72,000 or 74,000 square
I
yards or
spent
something.
probably 2 hours out there
Yeah.
working the road.
So,
So assuming it's somewhere between 154 and 224, what are you thinking? And what would our next steps be?
Well, for me, it kind of comes down to, as community members working together, because it sounds like you guys kind of got stuck in an odd spot.
I don't think we're unique in this town or in southern New
Well,
Hampshire.
just hold with me in general, like in your presentation of, the planning board releasing requirements and then not having, making certain assertions that the road would hold up
Yeah.
longer than what it has, because at the end of the day, it was just a base coat, which also went against, what we're supposed to be looking at, as far as, is it brought up to that class 5 standard or not? And it's not, like it wasn't, so it's not that easy of an acceptance.
Sure.
But it definitely is impressed upon me that wasn't any of y'all's doing. Like that was all different committees and companies and lawyers
Sure.
that happened by.
I got a question, are you in a public
Yeah,
comment?
Yeah.
Okay.
so
This
it's
seems
Roger,
to me,
so that's Roger Somro. Yeah.
seems to me like it's not the first time it's happened. And it seems like we've had other developers come in town, they promise that they're gonna get this road up to specs, and then they leave town or whatever happens. So is this something that is gonna continue to happen, or, I mean, I understand when they go through the subdivision thing, they're supposed to post a bond on the road, they're supposed to pay for that road to get up to town specs. What happened to the bond? Where's the bond now?
It got
When,
released because the planning board said he didn't have
No,
to do it.
no. The bond, when the developer went bankrupt, was not acted on and expired. The town let it expire. That's why I made the comment that we chose as a HOA not to sue anybody, and we were trying to be good neighbors along the way. It wouldn't have been enough to pave the road, but there was certainly multiple systemic things that all came together on
Didn't
this property.
Sanken didn't have to post a bond?
That was what initially started their whole lawsuit, was they didn't feel they should have to do anything to the infrastructure. So again, it was just a
Yeah, so
cluster.
to get to your point, Roger, that's why we're here tonight. Because in the past, it's just been a flat no, like from this level. But now, like, we'd like to hear, like, and come up with an equitable solution where we're not going to create an excess of tax burden for the entire base, but then find a way for like areas like Old Beaver, like these roads and these scenarios where we can find common ground and, you know, all be good neighbors to each other. Like, you know, Dee had said, like, they had made a choice not to take action against the town or to question the planning board at that point. So everybody needs to work together in these scenarios, and that's what we're trying to come up with, like a framework now. We're using Old Beaver like potentially for that framework moving forward, because there are other scenarios like this in town.
I have a question. I'm up there in age and I've seen a lot of this over the years. My question is, how do you prevent this from reoccurring down the road with another developer coming in, promising, and you guys, or whomever, give permits to do all this stuff, and then at the end they walk away and zingo, same situation.
Oh, hold on, Roger. So, I'm sorry, what was your name again, sir? Yeah.
I'm an outlaw. Ray Christian.
Sorry, Ray. I didn't remember.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, so I know, and Dee can speak to this as well, but at the planning board level, we're trying to put in different components and like the handoff section, try to make it, we put more detail on the plans to express true intent, because we found ourselves in a pickle planning board wise in a couple scenarios where we're trying to recreate something that started 20 years ago, and there's just not enough detail to the information. So then you find yourself flipping through all these different, you know, plans and just file folders of information and trying to take it all in to make the best decision possible. And you may miss a piece because one time it came down to one slip of paper that was just stuffed, you know, and didn't get enough of a long enough look through on it. So there's definitely, what does Tim call it? Like, we try to like map it out on the different plans, like to put explanations here, like go refer to this set of plans or refer to these minutes for greater detail on this set of plans, to try to like leave a map behind.
You
So
need
that
a
if,
proofreader at the end before any decisions are made.
well, yeah, and there's numerous sets of eyes. We've had work sessions to go through and digest all the, you know, the files of old paperwork and things. So there is an effort, you know, being made currently to try to leave like a map behind, a roadmap, so to speak, behind, so that we think that people will be able to understand it, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now.
But to speak to the question,
Yeah.
if a subdivision is coming in for approval, there are hard steps now
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the
that
roads have to be
ensure
built to classify.
that this won't happen
I
again.
just said, I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
The bankruptcy
Yeah.
piece we've struggled with, but
Yeah.
Jim Coffey just gave
Because there's
us
been a few
the
of
last
those.
piece the one thing we haven't been able to really work on is what happens if somebody goes belly up. And so now that last piece Jim Coffey just finally gave us and we can work into the regs. And I think that'll be the last piece. But we started tightening things up. Like there are subdivisions that went bankrupt before their HOA agreement was ever articulated, or after bankruptcy somebody tried to revoke the HOA agreements. And so we're trying to put some tighter things in there, and
That's
some
good
of it's
for
just,
the oncoming generations, that's wonderful.
I like your thinking.
Yeah. Yep.
So what are you offering?
No.
and I got another
Rod,
question.
Roger?
My other question was, would it stand a precedence?
Yes, yeah, I believe it would. Like, we are, like, at that point where it would set a precedence, you know, going forward. Not necessarily, because with each board it can change, but I would like to think that what comes out of these meetings would be a framework that future boards would like to use, because we're going for true equity here, not to increase the burden on the taxpayers, that's for sure.
And the
But
other,
then also to serve the road, like the community members in need.
So one of the questions I had was the betterment tax.
Yeah.
We talked about that as a potential way, and we've never really used it a lot in town. So I figure you're going there, but the goal
No,
was,
I-
Roger, that it would be a true partnership and it would be locked down to some degree if and when we got there.
Roger, to answer your other part of your question about setting a precedent, each road is different and has its own unique circumstances. So if they accept Old Beaver, it has its own set of unique criteria of why they would accept it. So they may not be able to accept another road that has different criteria or different things going on or different things in the background. So in a way it is setting a precedent, but in a way it isn't. You know what I mean? It's not. It's not going to say we're going to accept every single road, and
No, I think the
Figure it
precedent
out,
being
but-
set is that
we're willing to work with people.
if people feel like they have a case,
Right.
we'll listen. That doesn't, and absolutely what Debbie said.
Well, you already said.
We're not here to just say, all right, we're gonna give everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I
But
mean?
if
We're
all
not gonna
things
give
are
away-
equal,
Yeah.
two roads are equal, you accept one, common sense would say that you've set a precedence to accept a road to that standard with those conditions, that you would do it again.
Yeah, that's what the hope would be, that
I
there'd
think
be
that's
the
consistency,
precedent.
for sure.
Yeah.
This has so many
Consistency.
conditions.
That's what progress
Right.
is about,
Right.
that's progress.
Yeah.
However, the other part to that is, I don't think we're gonna have two that are the same.
Right.
Well,
Right.
good point.
Because
Right.
one that came in right after you guys is
Okay, we
completely,
watched it.
just way,
Yeah.
completely different.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so, you know, that wasn't as close.
Right. And like their road is considered common land,
Right.
where you guys it's not. You guys you don't even have any common land. You have all your own property.
Right.
So you
there's a
all
lot of
own to the
different
center.
factors, but-
So
Yeah.
I mean that's a lot of different.
So each one has to be evaluated based on
right.
its own merit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect
we
way
would
to
have
put it. I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So what was the HOA's thought on the betterment tax?
So we had our annual meeting, shared with the community, a lot of excitement, not a lot of concern. You guys have a lot of trust in our neighborhood. But the devil's in the details. Right? So I couldn't offer them anything, even a detail of what a betterment tax would look like, because we don't have that detail.
Mhm.
So we don't have the amount, we don't have the terms, we don't have the conditions, and then if we were to meet all three and agree to it, we don't have your approval that says you would do it. You know what I mean? So we continue to go around in a circle. I can offer things, we could vote on it, but it's a lot of what if
Mhm.
or conditions of. So I was hoping tonight we could get the selectmen's baseline of what would be needed and what the terms would look like, that I could then bring back to the community, the HOA, and say, this is what is being offered, because we can't vote on something until we know. The bottom line is, how's it gonna impact their wallet? And if it's twice as long, twice as much, it's probably not gonna work. If it's within the boundaries of what we pay yearly now for a specific amount of time. As an example, if it's $70,000 for 16 homes over 7 years and all of that, it's about the same every homeowner pays now with an end date. Right now, we have no end date in our HOA fees, so it's forever. Whereas if we're in that same financial framework annually for the homeowner, but there's an end, and the road then becomes public, then we have the majority vote or the 66% vote needed to accept the terms.
Mhm.
But we would have a formal vote within the HOA to do that, right? Every family would have a vote.
Is that how your constitution is written?
It
that
is,
It's
yes.
simple majority?
It is not majority, it's 66%, I believe.
So
Two-thirds.
It's two-thirds, yeah, two-thirds. So, that's 12 families, 12 out of 16 that we would need. We discussed it during the meeting, and we have that vote depending on the cost. So, if the board today says, yeah, Debbie's numbers are about right, we can work on that, these are the terms of the betterment tax, this is how it would work, this is what approximately your annual fee would be on your, along with your taxes or however you assess it, then I would bring that back to the community, we would vote on it, and I'd give you a formal answer in writing on how the community voted. And then it would be up to you to institute that, whatever you do to collect and take over the process of the road. So, but we're ready to make the next move. And one of the reasons I say this is we really need to know which direction we're going as fall comes, plowing, maintenance, dues, collection of money. We're at that point where we have to notify the community of what our next steps are and what your decisions are. So I don't want to pressure you, because that's our problem, not yours. But at the same time, it would be nice to know what direction we're going to go so the homeowners know what to do.
We might want to apply a little pressure because we like to kick things down the road.
Well, we've
Now you
seen
did
that.
want to do that.
We've seen that, but we did say that during that meeting, we would have a big barbecue that you guys could come to celebrate the turnover of the road. So,
May I ask a
We'll have the
question?
ribbon cutting ceremony.
yeah, sure, of course.
How much does each house pay for plowing right now?
So it depends, but it's been averaging about $600 a year, and that includes plowing, which is not the most, because we also have what's called a capital investment fund, where we put a certain percentage of those fees away for something like this, for road updates. And then we have legal fees, or insurance fees, that we're required by law to maintain, it's $1,000 or so a year. So we have costs regardless of whether we own the road or you own the road. We're still gonna have some HOA fees to maintain the community because we can't dissolve an HOA.
Right.
State law doesn't allow us to do that at this point.
But that 600, is that the total for everybody or
Each family
for
pays.
each family
Yeah.
paying
Yeah.
600?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we did vote for next year, if everything stays the same, that we would keep the same, because although our plowing fees tend not to go up, he's been really good with us for the last few years, we are expecting there'll be somewhat of an increase this year. And it's usually, well, you know how the storms go. Usually each storm is a couple of pushes, each push is, 200, 250 each push, so it's a local contractor, so it's not hard to get the work done, he's pretty reliable, but we'd rather you pay it than us.
So didn't we during the walkthrough, we discussed that if it was gonna be accepted, it wouldn't be until next year, so you guys would still have to
But that might be negotiable,
cover
right?
this. No, cause we
No.
can't, our plows can't plow that road because the trucks are too heavy.
Well, how do you plow parking lots and small roads?
It'll tear up what's left of the road, John.
Right.
Let's let them answer, okay?
No, that's
That is the answer.
That's where we're at.
It'll tear up
is,
the road.
Like it wouldn't be anything that would be acted on this year.
Yeah, but if you didn't pave it next year, for whatever reason, would that mean it would go another year?
I'm not sure what that looks like. We're getting into a lot of hypotheticals. I don't know how far down the hypothetical,
Well, I'm not
road you
looking
want
at
to go.
hypothetical, I'm
Yeah.
looking at risk to the community as to, are we transitioning, or are we on a road to transition, or are we?
That's what we're gonna try. That's where we're coming to. The kicking the can down the road was a joke, because we're here tonight having this discussion because
Okay.
we're not looking to do that. It was just,
The reason I ask is because I'm asked,
yeah.
what happens if?
I get it.
I
I get it.
just
So
don't have
just-
the answer, so I think,
Yep.
we need to at least discuss them at least briefly.
So, from what I understand, have you gotten any more clarity on how the betterment tax works?
I'm waiting for a response from the lawyer, as far as how, because NHMA, I mean, like Hard Road to Travel recommends that you talk to your town council about the whole positioning of it. Are you taking over a class 5 road? Are you relaying out a class 5 road? Is it going from class 6 to there's a whole bunch of different things of how it has to be worded and presented and all that kind of stuff. Basically, it's a line item added to your tax bill. Say each homeowner has to pay $1,000 a year for 10 years. If you want to pay your $10,000 up front, you can do that. If you want to pay half of it and then betterment the rest of it, so that would all be up to you guys as a homeowner
And then it has to
association.
be cleared before you sell, I think, too. So if
Yeah.
we decide to sell our home,
You'd have
we
to
would have to
pay it
clear
off.
that betterment
You have
off.
to
Right. Yeah.
So what I'm
So
looking
is that-
for
I
from
don't-
you is the details.
Yeah, no,
We
that's
don't
what we're
have-
getting to. So, like, working through it. So you don't have absolute clarity on that
Correct.
aspect yet.
No.
Okay.
I'm questioning in my mind if we should go into like how we feel we should act, like as far as, percentages seems like the most like where we'd go next with this, because we do have a quote. I definitely have something in my mind. If you guys feel free to discuss this right now, like as far as perspective of what they presented, the walkthrough that we had, and like a full understanding of everything. Do you guys feel like you have a full understanding of like how we got here today?
I think so.
I do.
Yeah. There's
Probably not a full understanding, I should.
yeah, not 100, but yeah,
I understand what has been told to me.
yeah.
I have about
And then
200
what's in
pages
record.
of PDF files on
I
meeting
understand
notes
what has
that
been
you could
told.
read. It's all in your notes,
Yeah.
there's a lot of detail there.
Yeah.
So to me, this at least seems like a shared responsibility from the town to Old Beaver, in my opinion. So in my head, I guess if we're able to enter into this agreement and work out all the details, for me, like I'd feel comfortable at like a 50-50, like a true shared cost of the like that total, like the whatever the two estimates are, and I don't know how you'd work in the percentages, because each year like it changes, like the cost of oil, so we can't have a nailed down figure
Right.
necessarily, but like a 50-50 scenario is kind of where I was at in my head.
But can I ask a question? So, 50
And
is very fair.
I'm speaking for myself.
Yep.
Like that's not, we haven't deliberated together
Or
about
voted
this.
on it.
Yeah.
So we discussed that as a community, and the community thought cost sharing of 50-50 was appropriate if that's what the town were to submit. So they were okay with that. Their concern was that this is a one-time cost, and that there wouldn't be an additional betterment 3 years down the road because something else needed to be done. So it's basically, once the contract is let, your road is priced and quoted for completion, that's the price that we split. And if something comes up 3 years from now, there's no more cost sharing. The town owns
Correct.
it.
Mhm.
Right.
That's the way it would work, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had that question, I
Yeah,
didn't
because
have the
and
answer.
that's why we went through and looked at like all the culverts to see if all the infrastructure was still intact. The quality of the work that was done appears to be like all that infrastructure work.
The subgrade
Good, it
and
was solid.
everything was
Yeah.
solid.
It was really, really solid.
And if we were, let's just assume everybody agreed, we came up with a number, and the HOA said, yeah, that's a good number, and we assessed that, and you come up with the numbers for the tax base, for the betterment tax. And then code 2 comes in under or over, then you would adjust your numbers accordingly to the
That's how
cost
I
of the
would like
town,
to
right?
see it.
Yes.
Yeah,
I would
I
like
would
to see it
vote
based
with
on
that.
actual cost, because
Yeah, absolutely.
it's just a fair way to do it.
Yeah.
If we said we're gonna go with 225 because we don't know if it that's not really fair to you, and if,
Right.
and then again, if we said 154, next year it ends up being 225, then everyone that we
Yes, sir.
represent says, what are you doing? You're wasting our money.
I guess my question is, we have the flexibility to work those numbers to actual as opposed to looking far term as this is what our budget's gonna be.
Right.
We're not-
I would like it that way.
I,
And we will get an actual itemized bill from whoever we use for paving on the year that this takes
Okay.
place.
We
Yeah.
can have them separated out. Normally, we get like this whole list right here is what we're paving this year.
Yeah.
And, or milling, or top coat, or base coat, or whatever it is. So every year we we put it out to bid and say, this is what we're paving, this is how much it is, you know, lengthwise or in what we're doing. And then they give us a quote to do the whole project.
Yep.
So in 2020, so we have to put our 2024 bid out in 2024, and we would include Old Beaver on that, but we would have them separate that out as a separate, so we know how much of this total bid
Yep.
is for Old Beaver. Because
Okay,
we
so-
usually lump everything together.
So year one tax assessment might be different than the rest of the years based on the actual cost, right?
No, because we're gonna get a quote for the reclaim and the base coat for year one.
Yep.
And then, but we can, well, I guess if you want exact numbers,
What I'm
actuals,
thinking is,
year two
you
would
could
be the
assess the
top
community
coat.
year one,
Yeah.
it may not be the same amount as years 2 through 7.
No,
If the price goes up or down at the final.
it would only be one more.
one.
No,
So-
but, no,
so
but what he's saying
the
is that
next
this is
year
gonna be
would be
put,
top
they're
coat.
asking to push this out over X amount of years.
Right,
So it's not, so year 7 could end up, or that could change drastically in year 4, depending on when the paving gets done. Like, when we have those actuals and put them into the matrix, it
Yeah.
could go up or go down. But then after, say, year 3, it should be stable. You know,
yeah,
like it'll be a predictable amount.
yeah,
I'm just
Yeah.
looking at how paving works. And
Yeah.
They say this year and then early snow comes, now it's next year and you've gone through 2 tax cycles. You know, it just,
I see what
so
you're
those
saying. So
numbers would kind of
Year,
change.
year one would be reclaim and base coat, year 2 would be top coat, and then no more money after that.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, so
but that, those two added together would be the total.
so year 3 would be stable, like, and
Yeah.
on, yeah.
And betterment tax is interest free.
What I've read it is.
Yeah, as far as that's what I've
I
seen
got asked
too.
and I saw that
yeah,
too, that
no, I've
that's the way it
seen,
read.
I've seen there's
I
no
wonder how
interest.
that works then if a person's late on their tax bill,
Then they're gonna get, so they're gonna
That
get interest
gets-
on their tax bill.
not
Yeah,
on the betterment.
no, they'd get it on the whole tax, whatever
whole
their
bill.
total,
Yeah.
Whatever
Yeah.
they didn't pay.
yeah, because that's
Yeah.
still part of their tax bill.
Yeah.
If you don't pay it, then you get an interest.
Yeah, the rules for tax payment
Right.
applies to the betterment tax as it
Correct.
does your property tax.
Yes,
Just for curiosity, what's the useful life of a class 5 road? Anybody know?
There's a lot of different, yeah.
What is,
depends on the
Depends on how
traffic
it
too.
was done. What is it, about 5 years?
I would say, yeah, probably no more than 5 years, yeah.
5 years?
Well, five or so years, you're probably gonna be looking at something. And it all depends on how much traffic you have, you know. With you guys out there, it's gonna last a lot longer versus.
Quite honestly, that surprises me because that road's been to call it a road
Yeah.
if you want.
And that's
It's
the
been in
one,
operation for years and
what did you
With
put
just
that-
a, with
but
just
that
a
is-
base coat, I
grinding
know.
that road down, and, because we don't know, what the base is underneath it. It's probably really good considering the condition of it.
Lot of gravel, lot of gravel.
Yeah, but again, we don't know if it meets the specifications that are necessary in order for it to last a long time.
I watched that road go in and they built that up like crazy.
We won't know until we do core
Yep,
samples.
understand.
But if we were milling it, we wouldn't even do core sample, right?
In any,
I don't think so.
I think you're,
Yeah.
I just read more than I
So-
ever care to know about a road.
Right.
Not
But
through New Hampshire,
if
but
your
Connecticut.
road needs to be top coated or any repairs after after 5 years or 7 years, you're not gonna have to pay
Right.
for it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we all pay for it.
Well, I was just thinking of it in terms of the total aggregate costs and the life, useful life for it, so.
Well, we just accepted a road and they had a nice big sinkhole that we had to fix.
Yeah.
So the homeowners didn't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Well,
The other question.
essentially they did, but you know,
Well,
like
it wasn't-
that
it
homeowners
wasn't there before you took
association
it.
didn't have to pay for it, the town paid for it.
Yeah.
So, and that's an
You know,
example
that's
of
a perfect example of that.
that scenario was a no from this level, put to vote like on the warrant, and then the community said yes, but didn't understand why
The select
the
board
select
said
board
no.
said no, like for it,
So
because they had infrastructure concerns out there.
And now we're all paying for it.
I'm thinking hypothetically, there may be some homeowners that might wanna pay it all off
That's fine.
in one lump sum, but
Yep.
others may
Wouldn't
wanna
break
talk
it.
about how long the term would be. So the next question that I have is what is the
I think
maximum possible
I
term
think the max
limit?
was 7 years.
It's 10.
10.
10?
Yeah, I read 7 the first
Okay,
time.
so
Yeah,
we-
it is
that-
10.
That would be, important for some of our
Yeah.
homeowners to know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, and if
So
they
it's
wanna do
easier-
it over, but that's all between you guys. You
Right.
don't, you
Right.
tell us who's gonna pay what
Right.
when,
Right,
and
And-
we'll add it to the tax bill.
yeah, that would be up
Or
to the
not.
individual
Well,
homeowner. how they-
my understanding would be 16 homeowners owe exactly the same amount, and how they pay the town is between the town and them.
Oh,
Correct?
yeah, yeah, but
So-
we have to know who's paying, if you're gonna pay yours up front and Dee's gonna spread hers over 10 years, we need to know so we can put it on you don't get a betterment tax on your tax bill because you're paying yours up
Well,
front.
can't you charge the betterment, we just pay the balance off? Sorry, we're getting into
If
a lot
you,
of
I mean,
detail.
yeah, if you
Yeah, but I
wanted
mean,
to
that's,
do
the
that.
point is, that's between the town and the homeowner, has nothing to do with the HOA at that point.
But
Just
I-
like property taxes have nothing to
Right.
do with the HOA.
Yeah. But we would have to hear from each resident who's
Yes.
gonna pay what, where, when.
Oh, yeah,
Do
when
you
they
want
get
it
their bill,
broken
they
up?
either
Right,
send you the minimum amount due or the whole
Right.
amount, one of the two, right?
right.
Yeah, that's how I would assume it should be
Right.
written up as minimum amount due, gives you the full legal,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah,
just like a
and then
credit
if you
card.
wanna pay
And if
more,
you-
pay more.
I mean, there's other issues with mortgages and escrow
Right.
and how
Yep.
how they carry, how your escrow carries that
Yeah.
cost. And
Right.
again, that's up to the homeowner, their lender,
Right,
and the town. It
Yep.
has nothing to do with
Right.
the HOA.
But
yeah,
And
10 years is the answer, the maximum term that can
Correct.
be extended. Okay.
yes.
Rogers had his hand up for quite a while.
Oh, I'm
This is,
sorry.
this is just only probably for the homeowners, and they may say, I'm not, you don't care about it. But the other issue that they may come up with is income tax. They might wanna pay it all up in one lump sum and get an income tax deduction for that
Great
one
point.
time.
It depends on how that betterment tax is classified as property
What
tax,
did you
income
just
tax,
say?
whatever.
Tax deduction. I'm
Right.
just wondering,
My ears.
if it's the same as the taxes, it's income tax deductible on the form, and I think it'd be itemized, and you might wanna say, I wanna pay more this year and get that deduction. It's just
Right,
for the people, it's not anything to do with the town.
Plus,
yeah.
No, it's a good point, depending on
Well,
the
maybe
tax
that's
bracket
part
you're
of
in,
why
so.
they recommend that we talk to the attorney about all the different, maybe it isn't classified like that, I don't
if it is
know.
it. It's not really our responsibility
No,
to
that's,
go
no.
down all the,
No.
all we need to do is know how to set it
No.
up,
Right.
present it, and then
Right.
collect it.
Exactly.
So what would be the next steps for the board? To do the research with legal?
Yeah,
Well, we have to see
And then-
if we agree,
Yeah.
like, to go forward of the mind that we're, with the 50-50 sharing. And this isn't binding right now because we still have to figure out the next steps for us, because this is, like I said, we're trying to create a framework here. So it's gonna still take a little bit of time. So I'd like to get the opinion, of each of my, fellow board members, where they're at, like if
And
they
the
agree.
director.
What's that?
In our new DPW, well, soon to be DPW,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
What
Well,
you
there's the-
might, excuse me, what you might want to think is, you were given two numbers here, one 154 and the other one 225. So, taking a guesstimate, you can run the numbers with one or run the numbers with the other. And if it's 7 years, or did you say 10?
It's
Yeah,
10
it's
years.
asking
10
you what
years.
the
It's
maximum
10
term
years.
for
Okay, so
the
10 years. So
homeowner that wanted to
if it's
spread it out.
100, yeah, if it's 154,000, each of the tax bills would be about $250.
Yeah, you're good, 'cause I just did it on the calculator and it's 508 a year,
Okay,
give or take, you know, on averaging,
yeah,
which is less than what the homeowner's paying today for their HOA fees, which makes it inviting.
also
Right.
it's less than what they're paying for the plowing.
Yeah, exactly, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So what I would ask the board is come to terms, whether we're here or not, you could do it, and then send us something that says this is your position, this is your cost, this is our sharing, these are the terms of betterment, and so on, so I can bring it to the HOA for a vote that says, this is assuming that you guys all nod your head and say yes. And then, you know, then we get to vote, I'll provide you a copy of the yea and nays, so you have it for your records. That way nobody can argue, right, on who voted what. And then, you know, if it passes with the HOA, then it's in, you know, we'll continue on as we are. But you would give us a date that says on April 1st, May 1st, June 1st, whatever your fiscal year looks like, whatever makes sense to you, the town would assume responsibility for the road.
Mhm.
I mean, that's what we're hoping for. That way it's very black and white to the homeowners. They know exactly what they're signing up for. When the betterment tax would start, figuring mid-year next calendar year. So year, you know, the second half of the year under assessment or whatever.
Mhm.
That way it's firm. They know, we know, you know, and we don't have to do this again.
Yep.
No.
There is still the variable of the price of oil.
Understood.
Well, no, that's
Right.
gonna be worked
That's
into
a
the
given.
agreement.
Yeah.
Right.
But you give
We're not
us,
going off these
the
numbers.
first number.
Yeah, this is just the basic.
knowing that it can
baseline.
change up or down
Yeah.
by even up to 10-15%, right? It can
Right.
change.
Who knows?
And I'll explain that as part of the vote, that this is what we think today based on the numbers that we have, but it could go up another 10%, you know.
I would caution you not to throw out a percentage.
I know,
Because you really have
I'm
no-
using that for
yeah, yeah,
conversation, but
just-
yeah, we
It
don't know.
could just go up, yeah, because hate to speak in vagaries, but after what we experienced the last couple of years, it's unpredictable.
But
Really,
we can
really
assume
unpredictable.
that 225 is probably the upper limit
Right.
for discussion with the homeowners. I don't want to go any higher than that, because we've got two quotes, and the one quote seems quite high.
Yeah,
So I'd like to be able to use that as the high threshold for discussion with the HOA.
that's up to you. You know, like
No, I know,
on our
I get
end,
it.
you're gonna get more, it's gonna be a little bit more vague and heavier on the percentage and how the whole thing's gonna work.
Yeah.
And the fact that this is driven by, you know, the cost of oil and what the actual market pricing is.
I think
So
the
that
big,
there won't be any, we can go off of a ballpark estimate to start and then get the actuals in and then plug those in afterwards.
yeah, I think that the community with a 50-50 cost share was their biggest concern, and that if that's what it is, that's an equitable move, and then the price is the price at
Right.
that point,
Yeah.
you know.
Now, Peter, did you have any concerns like of that, you know, road base or infrastructure at following our walkthrough or?
No, I was surprised at how well it's held up. You know, just being a base coat and
Mhm.
everything. So that tells me that the subgrade is really good and good drainage. You know, and we walked it when it was wet season. You know, we'd come through a lot of rain and stuff, and I didn't see any big washouts or anything like that as well.
Yeah.
And then I also do have another question, which you guys may have discussed, I may have missed or something, but so when we do, if we do take this over, do we get the 50-foot right of way throughout the whole road?
No, that's true. Yeah, because it's
No, there
short
is-
by 2 feet, right?
There is one section that's 18 foot.
The whole road is 18.
The
No,
front,
not
the
How
front,
is
the
it
front
mapped
entrance
out?
is even wider. The
Oh,
stick
yeah.
of the lollipop is wider.
Right.
Do you remember
And
how
then it
much?
narrows down.
I think it was 22.
There's one that's 18.
Yeah.
When we measured it for Blacktop and
Mm.
what Shattuck did, I think they were, I forget, it was 190 feet at 22 or something like that going in before the split. But it was 22 feet straight out, and then it went down to 18 during the loop. And there was one place where there was some erosion where it was like 17 or something
We should review the shared road agreement to see if it already indicates that there's a 50-foot right-of-way, because if it does, then when we dedicate, it's already there. If it isn't, then we can get an easement written up to dedicate the road plus whatever we need to.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be critical.
Yeah, 'cause I'm just thinking for like overgrowth of trees and stuff like that, when we need to do trimming, push back the snow, we're
Yeah.
able to do that.
The only thing that we need to be cautious of is the ZBA made a requirement when they granted the variance on the width to restrict cutting because it gets into the wetlands. So you can see where the younger trees are and certainly do that, but there are places where they didn't want to. That's why I think John's our bush hog guy, that he'll go through every year and just kind of chew up all the little stuff, because the bigger stuff we're supposed to leave be. So I don't know where that 50-foot would be, but I think we just have to bear that in mind, and I don't know how we write that up to go back to that original approval from the ZBA that they said, yes, you can certainly cut, but work on where you're cutting and don't cut where it isn't necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Yeah.
Peter, define what you mean by the 50-foot right-of-way. Does that mean that go center line of the road, 25 feet on each side of it is common ground or city ground or
Town
ground?
Right away, yeah.
Yeah,
You
right
still
away.
own it,
Yeah,
but they
yeah,
can maintain
yeah, from the
it.
center of the road, 25 feet, and then
Yeah, but we can
25
cut your
feet.
trees
Gotcha.
and mow your
Okay.
lawn.
Okay, I got
But-
you.
So
I just
technically,
needed
if-
that
So
made
it's
it.
3 feet.
So you
Well,
put 50
something
feet,
there.
right in.
Yeah,
technically, if a person puts, I don't know, a statue right on the side of the road, they're doing it at their own risk.
Correct.
I mean, the
It's
town may
Right.
have to come in and do
That's my
some,
stone wall.
do some
right.
shoulder
Right,
work,
exactly.
and they'll have to remove that statue,
Right.
You won't,
right? I mean, that's the whole point
I
of
mean,
it,
it's
right?
common like that in every
Yeah.
neighborhood, it's not.
Well,
it's
even
not
on
unique.
main roads, we had
Yeah.
someone putting
I mean, you're not gonna come
shrubs.
plow down everybody's yards
Alright.
because you feel like it, right?
Sir?
Our mailboxes are definitely within that 25 feet.
Well, yeah, everybody's is.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, but there's a certain height requirement so the plow can go under it, right?
Yeah, there
I mean,
is.
not all of them meet the requirements.
our postmaster is
Yeah,
got a
he-
long stick to beat us with.
He made us put it at a certain height, they're all plowable under.
It's 4 feet.
If they're not, they're not there anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And not our responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, does that make sense what I asked, just so that
Yeah.
we have a framework
Yep.
to go to the town and
Absolutely.
the community with?
Yep.
Okay.
Debbie, when do you expect all the additional information
I don't know.
to come back from your
As
lawyers?
soon as they email me back. I had a couple other questions too for them, so it was a figured I'd kill all their hourly bills with one stone.
Yeah, right.
So I combined a bunch of stuff, so
Right.
hopefully they'll get back to me tomorrow, but I don't know.
Can I ask, without putting this at risk, where you're leaning as a board? Without
Sean
any of
has
the
already
details?
asked us for our opinions, and I'm of the same mind. 50% seems fair. It seems like a good
Okay.
working point.
Do you care to weigh in at this point, or?
No.
He's gonna
Okay.
abstain.
So if we could, let's plan to come back September 19th, we'll put it out for like a month. There seems like a good amount of time to get some answers and, maybe get some more clarity.
Okay. At a regular assembly meeting or a closed
Yeah.
meeting or a?
7 o'clock. Continuation of this
Well-
public hearing, right?
No, I was actually gonna look to, if we close the public hearing, we can still have it as a part of the, like, select board meeting.
Yeah, the intent
Yeah.
of this was to let anybody who
Wanted
is
to,
for it or
right.
against it to come and let
Okay.
us know your reasons. That's why we would hold
Yeah,
the
so you
public
can
hearing.
Right.
close the
Because
public
sometimes
hearing
people
and
know
then-
stuff we don't know.
So, just one second, Roger. So, at this time, I'll ask if there's any other further public comment for anybody that's either opposed or in favor of the possible acceptance of Old Beaver. Roger?
Just something to be aware of. It may not happen. It may happen, but when you start accepting a lot more roads and stuff, then the police will say we need more policemen, we need more cruisers. The highway says we need more trucks, and so just expect that this could be used for that in the future. People are going to say they need more.
Well, the police patrol Old Beaver Road now.
Yeah, they do.
So it's already within their jurisdiction, and so they're there on a regular basis.
No, I understand that. And then part of, like, for me, part of this is some of these scenarios, the homeowners were expecting the roads to be taken over, and had this been built out and there hadn't been a few gray areas along the way, this most likely would have been accepted a while ago, because that's a part of that planning board process. So it's not like we're going out and creating more burden for the police. I do understand the element in regards to the highway department, and having to, plow more roads or have more infrastructure to keep up with down the line. But they're community members currently, so it shouldn't really impact those other areas, such as the police, I would think. D?
Yeah, I think that this is unique enough, and it's probably almost a worst case scenario, because it involved the bankruptcy, the bond, the legal challenge to having to do anything to the infrastructure, the length of time that we kind of have made an effort to try to get somewhere on this, not understanding betterment taxes. When our homes were built, there was a new tax that came in. It wasn't a betterment tax, it was some other tax. And I know it wreaked havoc and everybody really panicked. I think it was an impact
fees.
Yeah, and so I think there's been a lot of things that people have been fearful of regarding roads, and there was this perception that roads are expensive, and yet when we look at the total cost of our town budget, it's a small subset of the town budget, which is a smaller subset of the total tax base that we have to incur every year. So when we start looking at the numbers, I think this was an experiment that we thought towns would save a lot of money, and that's how we wound up kind of in this private road pickle. And the town was also going through a lot of lawsuits that related to roads and Green Farm and all that kind of stuff. So I see how we got here, but I don't think it worked, and finding a way for us to set a pathway for people to bring their roads into compliance in a shared manner that doesn't seem so overwhelming to people. I mean, we're fairly educated, and it took us a whole long time to get here, right? So I think finding a pathway forward that we can adapt as a town and work together, I'm really just encouraged by us getting down that path. So, I know that there'll be concerns about the plowing hours. I get it, right? But I also think that the town base, the number of people is how you calculate police officers, and we're already being counted into that number. So, and they're already coming. So I don't see us as being such a huge burden type of thing. Anyways. And the people who already walk their dogs there will be very happy.
I'll make a second call for any additional input from the public. Hearing none, I close the public portion of this discussion. And we'll set September, what did I say? 19th. Yep. And how does 7 o'clock work for everybody? Like, is that good, or would you like it to be a little bit earlier, or?
It's up to you. It's really up to you guys.
Well, no, I didn't. Earlier is better for us too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we
do it 3 in the afternoon if you want.
No, 6. It'd be after 5. So we'll put it on for 6.
Okay.
And then we'll look to, if it's taking longer on our end for answers, we'll make sure that communication gets out to you all, and we'll make a change of the date. There's no sense in dragging everybody in.
Yeah.
Like, just to say hello, even though it's nice to see you all.
I'm able to make a comment just to make clear that, mailboxes is not the responsibility of the town. And also, if you do have a driveway culvert, that's not the responsibility of the town either. Just so we're clear on that.
Good to know.
I'm trying to think all the way around the hood, and I don't think there are any driveway culverts.
Yeah, I can't think of any either over there.
There's plenty of
as well,
culverts,
but-
but they're all
Yeah.
reinforced concrete. None of this DIY kind or DIY kind of install of a culvert and gravel. I don't
Mhm.
remember seeing those.
Yeah.
Yeah, just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Point, so people know.
Yeah. Excellent.
So another part of the details is gonna be, should we get good word, solid word from the attorneys?
Yep.
We have a good path forward. Now, the road committee would
They
have to
previously.
bump it
Yeah.
into their rotation.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it just sit and wait.
Yep.
Or alternatively, we could put a warrant article.
And that could push
Separate.
like that narrative, like for the road committee, maybe to look at that other section, because that's just like the other side of that,
Yeah, no.
that in the town, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So I don't know,
Yeah,
we'll see, like how all the other infrastructure is looking, cause there's definitely, we'll just have to relook at the maps again and see where the most, updates needed.
I have a question,
Yes, sir.
if I can ask. If the town accepts the road, are we still liable for insurance on the road? Or does the town assume that responsibility?
No, it'd be covered under the towns.
Yeah.
Do we have insurance on the road now?
I don't know.
No, we have it for the.
No, we don't.
It's for the officers.
part of the
There's an
property
officer.
insurance
Yeah.
because each person still owns their segment of the road, so
Right.
it falls under property insurance.
Yeah.
I think our insurance covers liabilities
Yeah.
for officers that,
Yes,
representing the community.
Do you
That's
want
what
me,
it's primarily for, right?
yes.
Okay.
do you want me to dig up the shared driveway agreement so we can take a look at the 50 feet?
if you
Or-
could, that'd be
okay.
great.
Or do you wanna see if
I don't
Jim
even
has
know
it
where
and
to
just run it by the attorneys to see if we need anything to supplement? I'll
Okay.
find it and send it to you, and then you can
Okay,
send it to the attorneys, see if we need to supplement it all. Might be in there, let's just see what's in there first.
So I know government doesn't run fast, and that's not any indication to anybody here. But if you have this information before the 19th, is there an option just to transfer that information via email to me instead of another meeting? Or is it not improper to do that? And I'm just thinking if.
We'll just have to see, John, like where it
Okay.
goes, so if we can,
Yeah.
mm.
It's not that I'm anxious,
Yeah.
but I'm anxious.
Yep.
The difficult
No, I
part of that
understand.
is that until we get a quote next spring or summer on what the actual cost is going to be, you're not going to have any hard numbers to work with.
right. So this winter, you're definitely gonna have to do your
Fully
Can
understand.
carry on
What
with
I'm
what you're
looking
doing.
for is to prep the homeowners for an anticipated cost for calendar year '24.
right.
Which
Yeah.
you won't know until at least.
Well, I thought we already had that
Spring.
discussion, and we would have a high-low number, and you would come up with
And that's fine, like that's,
what we
that,
think.
or again, starting this all over again when we ended already. I love you guys because you want to stay here
No, I
during
know.
the meeting. We're gonna go round and around and around with ifs. So let us, do the work on our
Yeah.
end to
Okay.
see what we can do and what we can present back to you guys
Okay.
and come back with, and then we'll go from there.
And I believe the
Yeah.
other part of the answer is, John, this can only be discussed by the selectmen in a
Yeah.
public forum. So it's not like they can talk and
Right,
make plans outside of these meetings. That's why the notice is important.
I hope this is my
Okay.
last comment for everybody, but from the HOA, I want to say thank you for at least the consideration of our proposal and our dilemma.
Absolutely.
Okay.
see, I told you it was that easy.
We're all on page
All
here.
right.
Yeah.
I'm starting to hold my breath.
Thanks, good to see you all.
Bye,
Right.
thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for
Thank you.
coming in.
Thank you.
Good night, thank you all.
Good job, then.
Yeah.
Roger, don't
Right.
leave, I need to ask you something.
Okay.
Can I be excused for 1
Good night.
minute?
Yes,
And I'm just finishing something here and then I'm out.
This is not public.
That ended that segment. I'm gonna go right to the round table. I have 2 items to discuss with you.
Tapping out?
One is Old Wilton Road.
Okay.
a resident there said that it's falling apart because he feels as though it's big dump trucks.
They've got, whoever has the chocolate brown dump trucks.
Well, anyways, it doesn't matter who it is.
Anyway,
Because we are still on
what they're
camera.
doing is, these are 15, 17-year-old dump trucks.
Mhm.
They're coming through there. And they're using it as a shortcut from Greenville Road over to 45.
Mhm.
And it's turning around quite a bit. Because that road really doesn't have a good base on it, and
Yeah, yeah.
you know, and it just and so what I like is what we were talking about is get a sign saying no through trucks, because that would hopefully dissuade whoever's going through there for that. But it doesn't keep a fuel truck or a or propane truck or any of
Yeah,
that.
But my
They're
question,
exempt anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah.
my question was, when the road is redone, it'll hold the dump trucks.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where,
I don't think, I still don't think so.
That hill going up initially is always an issue, right? Like,
That's not what the
especially-
problem is. The
no.
problem is halfway down the road where it's flat. And what's happened is, you know, the road typically has a little bit of crown to it,
mhm.
but the trucks are heavy enough that they're actually making deep grooves, and there was it looks like there was a 1 inch or an inch and a half top coat put on there the last time they came through. And that's all torn out, and it's down to the base coat. And even that's getting torn up, and there's just and there's also drainage problems and stuff. So I suspect that the base that was put under the blacktop was never done properly back in, I guess it would have been sometime in the 90s, when that road turned from a dirt road over to a blacktop road. And if I remember it correctly, all they ended up doing was they didn't do much prep work, if any, to the road. They just went through there with blacktop.
yeah,
And I almost wonder if that was actually chip sealed at one point as well.
It was, yes,
And then there was an overlay after that?
yes,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, about,
So those were just kind of more just band-aids of,
3 or 4 years. It's
Whatever
all been
was there.
Band-Aids all
Yeah.
along.
yeah, yeah.
And then also, when you get over on the 45 end,
Mm-hmm.
if you look left, especially in the wintertime when the snow gets built up on that corner, you can't see anything coming over from the temple area.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to see a mirror get put up on the utility pole across the street so that you can see around that track.
do we have them mirrors? We put one up for
You can get 'em
Yeah,
from-
we did for Upper Crab Pond up on
Right.
Port Farm Road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so.
I know
you
what
can
he's
do-
talking about because I use Alton's for their mechanic work, Dan Alton, and I go there a lot
Mm-hmm.
with between me and my kids' vehicles. But yeah, you come down to 45, and I always roll down my window and
Yeah.
put my construction ears out. Hope I can hear if someone's coming, because if they're coming,
But
they're on
it's
you.
far enough away, you know, the curve is only about, I would say a couple hundred feet away. So it's really not that, you know, considering the speed that they're going.
Well, it seems warranted, and it's
About 400
a small
feet.
enough expense. Do you feel like we could take
Yeah.
care of that this year? Like putting in the mirror? Or?
Yeah, especially with winter coming up, it'll be a big savings for, you know, looking out that way.
But
It'll probably help the
Because
bug
when
guy
it's-
out as well.
Well, when
Yeah.
when the state comes through to pile up the snow, there's that log cabin there at the end of the road,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just piling the snow up, and it's at 10 foot high.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no place else to put it.
Yeah. Because the way I remember it is like the land just this kind of abruptly just goes like right up.
Yeah.
You know, right up in there.
Yeah,
So it's
And
like there's not
traffic-
even much for the state to put snow through there as well.
yeah, it gets pretty funny when tractor trailers come through there, because the gate that they have in the bottom, once they start going uphill, or even going downhill to get back on 45, ends up bending the crash bar that they have in the back of the truck, or the back of the trailer.
Yeah, just because of the steepness of the road, yeah.
But I do have a little hesitancy to calling Old Wilton Road a shortcut. I think it's another road in town. And to
It's a
call it a
shortcut.
shortcut isn't really, it's not accurate. It's a road and people will use all the roads in town to their benefit, whether they feel like it's a shortcut or not. And so it doesn't, you know what I'm saying? I don't think that's
I know
a
what you're
justifiable thing to say, no through trucks. If we have roads, we have roads.
Well, we're talking about a road that's not prepared for a 72,000-pound truck. Shouldn't have 72,000-pound trucks going through there.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to take a ride down there.
Yeah.
Take a look at it. I guess.
This was why I was asking, when it's redone, will it be able to, you said it won't, he said it will. So,
Yeah, not
however
unless they
that goes.
totally tear it up and put a real good base coat on there.
Yeah.
And there's enough drainage work that needs to be done too.
Oh, yeah.
There's always been
Yeah.
a lot of problems with that.
Yeah. The other question I have is, how long has those trucks been going through there?
It's on and off. They're getting the whatever they're carrying someplace.
Has it been like the last year or 5 years or?
It's been more like the last 6-8 months.
Okay. Okay.
Now, the other problem we've had is that guys who were normally going over to the place in Greenville, Old Mustard, whatever.
Oh, Pilgrim
The
Foods.
Pilgrim Food? Pilgrim Food?
Pilgrim Food.
Yeah.
And, they'll put into their GPS 60 Old Wilton Road. And even though it's on GPS as Greenville, it brings them over to Wilton. So they stop on right over my house, knock on my door, and ask for, are you Old Pilgrim? And I said,
You
no,
want
but,
some mustard?
you're gonna have to, and I told them that it's an Old Wilton Road over in Greenville, not in New Church.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's
Take
not
a
too
look
much
at
of that happening anymore.
Take a look at the road condition. You mind
Yeah.
taking a look at it too, and just sort of seeing what's going on out there, like just the road condition to see if it's at an elevated, deterioration.
Yeah, I mean, I just know it's one of the ones that should be on the list sooner than later, just from plowing it and, it's not my route, but I've had to plow it, just because we sometimes take over for other people if they can't do it or whatever, so. And just driving down it too, and there is a pretty good drainage issue on the back side towards 45 even, but it gets pretty icy
It
down
is
through there.
bad over there.
Yeah.
You
But
just
you
slide
have a
down.
combination
You can't
of
make it up and you
drainage,
slide down when it's icy.
And also just a lot of shade because you have a lot of trees through there.
Yeah.
So not a lot of sun gets over there.
Yeah.
So that's
And
the
that-
harder one to take
that
care
whole-
of.
yeah,
that-
That issue versus the drainage issue.
Yeah.
And that
So-
downhill, the curve and the downhill gets totally iced over.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
In the wintertime. So there have been a couple of accidents where cars or trucks, pickup trucks have slid out into the intersection.
Straight across into the dirt road.
Yeah.
All right. So not that I don't love continuing this discussion,
Yeah.
but I don't think we can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of just chatting at this point.
So basically, sounds like favor for a mirror for down there.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Mirror.
No.
I'll make a motion, we direct the director to get a mirror at the end of Old Wilton Road on Route 45.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. But that would be one that you would abstain from.
Okay.
You're supposed to.
Right?
You're the one who brought it up.
It was not,
Oops.
I'd ask you to rescind your vote.
Any abstentions?
okay, so, discount my vote.
Gotta always be on your toes around here, huh?
Right?
Right?
Oh, man.
Yes.
Alright, did you have anything
And
else you
then
wanna?
also with that discussion too, with the no through trucks.
I don't
Yeah.
know what we do with that. We're gonna take a look at it.
Yeah,
Okay.
And we'd like to hear back from you. Maybe I'll meet up with you before our next meeting and
Okay.
report back. Cause, no, it's not this week. Next week is Peter's retirement.
mhm,
16.
A week from tomorrow.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah,
So,
alright,
And then you said there's 2 issues?
I think
yeah,
those are the
they
two.
were the
Oh,
two.
those were the 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are the two.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was. or
Yeah,
not.
that was it. And then
Okay.
the other stuff, I'll call you and yell at you about.
Alright, did you have anything else for us tonight?
How many pickup trucks do you have with plows?
With plows,
Yeah.
everything, except for
No, how many pickup trucks?
we have
Not plow truck, not big trucks.
yeah. So we have F-350 with the extended cab, the F-350 single cab, F-250. So we have 3
Okay.
pickups,
Okay.
classified as pickups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
well, okay,
Alright,
that's all I need to know.
Okay.
alright,
Okay.
thank you.
Yep.
Any other old new?
No.
Peter, did you have anything you wanna talk to us about specifically?
Nope.
Alright, how's everything going?
Good. Yeah.
Good, you ready?
Do you have a good time yet?
It's
2 more weeks, you ready?
yeah. Ready or not, ready to go.
Alright,
Good.
Yeah, no, it's, I just feel the, how would I say it, it's like, yeah, more and more he's coming onto my plate, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's getting transitioned over to me,
Uh-huh.
like where it's like, this, you know? So, yeah. So,
Do you go home busy sometimes?
yeah,
I do.
maybe you could almost say that. Yeah.
Are you having nightmares about the job?
No.
Oh, just
No.
you wait.
He'll do
That could
fine.
change.
so that's good, it's good to hear.
Yeah.
That
No, yeah. it's,
things are being shifted and,
Yeah.
you know,
Yep.
all that's moving forward, so.
Yeah.
And it's almost budget season.
Yeah. That's gonna be.
Thanks, Glory.
Yeah.
Roll up your sleeves.
Alright,
Alright.
Jason, did you have anything? This is your second call.
I would
Third
like,
call.
I would like, I promise it would be a very brief non-public.
Okay. For
Okay.
which one?
It would be,
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
Yeah. See ya.
Have a good night, Peter.
Yeah. You too.
Debbie, did you have anything?
No.
Alright, so thank you for all who watch this meeting, and also thank you to Ron. Yeah,
Thanks,
for your
Ron.
continued dedication.